Chapter 641. An ant shaking a tree, killed with one slap. The magic giant palm shimmering with multicolored glass light had just formed, and its might swept across the surroundings. Even just the aura leaking out caused the golden giant dragon, formed by the collective efforts of the monks from Suspended Mountain, to flicker like a candle in the wind, its golden light wavering and about to extinguish. Even the originally rapid ascending speed suddenly plummeted. It was as if they had suddenly fallen into a quagmire, struggling just to crawl. What is this? The monks below Suspended Mountain gazed at the colossal multicolored glass palm that covered the sky, feeling the terrifying pressure like a landslide or tsunami. All of them were in a daze, full of disbelief. Even Elder Jin Zhong, a strong figure in the Golden Core realm, was flabbergasted, almost unable to believe his own eyes. There was no choice. The magic giant palm Lu Qing had conjured was simply too horrifying. Just looking at it was enough to instill fear in one's heart. Not to mention the boundless might it emitted, which left everyone feeling suffocated and unable to breathe. Using his own 5 elements mana as a guide, Lu Qing mobilized the heaven and earth laws to form the 5 elements 10,000 skill palm. Without any hesitation, he directly imprinted it downwards. Boom! The magic palm moved, earth-shattering. It was like a mountain collapsing, or more like the sky falling. The magic giant palm, several miles wide, exuding a strong aura, descended. The terrifying might was indescribable. The air currents in the high sky suddenly raged, forming whirlwinds. At the edges of the magic palm, layers of white mist exploded continuously. This is bad. Stimulated by the intense aura of death, Elder Jin Zhong finally snapped back to his senses. He roared fiercely, "Quick! Use all your strength. If we can't block this move, we will all die." The other monks also snapped back to reality. Without needing Elder Jin Zhong to say, they knew the seriousness of the situation. They each spewed a mouthful of essence blood onto the formation they had formed, circulating their spiritual power recklessly. The consequences of such an overloaded activation of mana were naturally severe. All the monks' faces turned pale, and some even bled from their 7 orifices, looking quite horrifying. But no one cared about any of this now. They didn't even have time to think about why that evil demon could unleash such a terrifying attack. All they knew was that if they didn't fight desperately now, they might not have the chance to fight desperately in the future. Therefore, no matter how serious the consequences, all the monks were still desperately circulating their spiritual power, squeezing out every ounce of strength. With such powerful assistance, the golden giant dragon in the sky seemed as if it had suddenly taken a huge tonic. Not only did it regain its golden light, but its might was even stronger. It raised its head and let out a dragon's roar, accelerating towards the descending magic giant palm. "We must block it." All the monks, with unwavering belief, watched the golden giant dragon closely. The red-faced monk, operating his spiritual power to the limit, even felt his realm subtly loosening. He instantly understood that under the terrifying pressure brought by the evil demon, his potential was further forced out. After this battle, he would surely overcome the heavenly tribulation and achieve the golden core. Though it seems long to say, in fact, from the moment Lu Qing drove the 5 elements 10,000 skill palm downwards to the eruptive efforts of the monks, overwhelming their spiritual power, everything happened in just a breath's time. Thus, under the hopeful gazes of the monks from Suspended Mountain, they gave their all, manifesting the golden giant dragon together. Finally, it met the colorful, glass-like magic giant palm. However, buzz! The magic giant palm merely trembled lightly, and the golden giant dragon's light was extinguished in an instant, disintegrating entirely. Not only was the golden Buddha palm shattered, but those Buddha treasures and magic artifacts also suffered heavy damage instantly, their light dimming and scattering in all directions. As for the magic giant palm itself, it didn't show any damage, and it couldn't even be slowed down in its descent. The scene was akin to an insect vainly challenging a sky-supporting giant being swatted away effortlessly. Puff! The monks of Suspended Mountain, connected in spirit, spat blood collectively, and fell to the ground when the golden giant dragon was swatted away, and the Buddha treasures and magic artifacts were severely damaged. Then, filled with endless fear, they watched as the magic giant palm descended like the sky collapsing. Rumble! The giant palm descended, imprinting on the site where the monks of Suspended Mountain were located. Instantly, the earth shook and the mountains swayed. Not only was the peak where the monks stood flattened directly, but the powerful, boundless force erupted, causing waves to ripple within a 10-mile radius. Countless plants, rocks, and mountains were uplifted and fell back down. The scene was simply like the arrival of doomsday. After a while, when everything calmed down, Lu Qing withdrew the magic giant palm. What was left below on the ground was the peak where the monks of Suspended Mountain once stood, along with several nearby peaks, all flattened directly. Leaving only a giant handprint on the ground, the 5 fingers were distinct and clearly discernible. As for those monks of Suspended Mountain, their aura had long dispersed, and their corpses were nowhere to be found. Seeing the power of this palm, Lu Qing nodded with some satisfaction. In the past month, besides deducing the perfect golden core skill, during his spare time, he would also comprehend the secret Taoist techniques he obtained from the gray-robed man's brothers. Among them, the 10,000 skill palm of the white-robed youth was a Taoist technique he quite liked, so he studied it more earnestly. Finally, after some comprehension, he successfully combined the 10,000 skill palm with his mana nature, creating the 10,000 skill palm infused with the power of 5 elements law. Lu Qing named it the 5 elements 10,000 skill palm, because it contained the power of the 5 elements. The might of the 5 elements 10,000 skill palm was much more powerful than an ordinary 10,000 skill palm. However, this time was still the first time Lu Qing fully executed this Taoist technique. The result was naturally very satisfactory to him. The might of the 5 elements 10,000 skill palm was a bit stronger than he imagined. It was no weaker than his saber technique and could be used as a trump card. If, on the day he fought the gray-robed man, he had used the 5 elements 10,000 skill palm, the opponent would have had no chance to struggle afterward. Just this move would have been enough to completely subdue and kill him, with no possibility of escape. Looking at the giant handprint below, Lu Qing extended his hand, and dim golden lights gathered from all directions, falling into his palm. These were the Buddha treasures and magic artifacts that the monks had activated previously. Though Lu Qing couldn't use these items, they still had some use as refining materials. After collecting all the Buddha treasures and magic artifacts into the universe bag, Lu Qing cast a meaningful glance downwards, then turned into a stream of light and directly left. After the stream of light that Lu Qing transformed into disappeared into the horizon. After a long while, suddenly, from the center of the giant handprint, a figure emerged from the soil. Looking at his appearance, who else could it be but Elder Jinzhong? Chapter 642. Arrival at the Secret Realm. Alarm bells ring. Who exactly is that evil demon? At this moment, Elder Jinzhong looked truly miserable. His face was as pale as paper, and there weren't many bones left unbroken in his body. His entire body was covered in blood mixed with dirt. There was no trace of his previous Golden Core Realm achievement, exuberant demeanor at all. Looking in the direction where Lu Qing disappeared, the fear in Elder Jinzhong's eyes had not yet dissipated. It was too strong. The power of that magic giant palm just now was absolutely terrifying. It was as though the sky was collapsing, smashing everything in its path with supreme power. Thinking back, Elder Jinzhong couldn't help but tremble. He really couldn't imagine, when the world had just recently recovered, why such a terrifying figure would appear. Could it be that this evil demon is also an outsider? If so, why do they have such a deep feud with our Suspended Mountain, wanting to annihilate us? Elder Jinzhong couldn't figure out the answer, but he knew that he must immediately report this to the abbot. Unfortunately, before crossing the tribulation, he had entrusted all of his belongings, including the communication jade token, to Elder Chi Xian. Now, the bodies of Elder Chi Xian and others were buried who knows how deep underground, and couldn't be found. Thinking of Elder Chi Xian and others, a flash of sorrow appeared in Elder Jin Zhong's eyes. The evil technique of that demon was too horrifying. Under such vast power, there was no possibility for Elder Chi Xian and the others to survive. Even he himself, if not for achieving the Golden Core realm and at the last moment, self-exploding his life-bound Golden Bell for protection and using the fake death secret technique to fool the demon's perception, he would have probably perished as well. Struggling to support himself, Elder Jin Zhong activated the nearly dim and collapsing magic power Golden Core within his body. He reluctantly mobilized a bit of mana, absorbing spiritual energy to heal himself. This time his injuries were truly severe, and he had to heal quickly to recover. Otherwise, let alone opening the secret realm, even his realm might directly fall back. Moreover, he must hurry. With Elder Chi Xian and the others dead and the soul lamp extinguished, chaos must already be reigning in the temple. If he doesn't hurry back, the consequences would be unimaginable. With a strong sense of urgency, Elder Jin Zhong's heart and spirit were unprecedentedly focused, continuously absorbing the surrounding nature's spiritual energy to heal himself. The recovery ability at the Golden Core realm was naturally extremely formidable. After healing for an hour, Elder Jin Zhong felt that his internal injuries had improved considerably. The magic power Golden Core that was nearly collapsing was stabilized once more, enabling him to use some mana. Feeling that he could barely move, Elder Jin Zhong dared not delay. He immediately activated his mana, lifting his body into the air, flying in a certain direction. Eventually, he stopped at a giant natural gate formed between two merging peaks. This giant gate was filled with an ancient and mysterious atmosphere, with spiritual energy faintly converging towards it. Elder Jin Zhong hovered in front of the gate, forming complex magic seals with his hands, while also urging the mana within himself, resonating with the space inside the gate. As the magic seals were continuously formed, soon, ripples of space began to appear in the center of the gate. Gradually, a spatial vortex began to manifest and stabilize. When the spatial vortex completely stabilized, Elder Jin Zhong wiped the sweat off his face. Already severely injured, he had managed to open the secret realm's gate by himself, consuming more than half of the recently recovered mana. However, he had finally succeeded in opening it. Elder Jin Zhong exhaled and was about to dive into the spatial vortex. But just as he moved, his body froze as a powerful suppressive force appeared on him, rendering him completely immobile. So, this is the so-called suspended mountain secret lands entrance. It's not that well hidden after all. A voice echoed from behind, causing Elder Jin Zhong's eyes to widen in shock, for he could clearly tell it was the voice of that evil demon. Then Elder Jin Zhong felt a hand land on his head, and a power so strong it defied description invaded his body, splitting into two paths. His Dan Tian Chi Si, along with the magic power Golden Core and forehead acupoint, were completely sealed, leaving Elder Jin Zhong unable to use even his divine soul power. Then a figure appeared beside him, and Elder Jin Zhong, unable to move, could only look through his periphery, realizing who else could it be but the demon. Seeing the disbelief in Elder Jin Zhong's eyes, Lu Qing smiled. "Old monk, did you really think I hadn't noticed you feigning death and hiding under the rocks? Only to find the entrance to your suspended mountain secret realm did I let you live for a while longer." Elder Jin Zhong's eyes widened once more, filled with terror. He suddenly understood Lu Qing's purpose. Seeing the terror in Elder Jin Zhong's eyes, Lu Qing nodded. "Yes, you guessed right. I'm going to completely obliterate your suspended mountain and erase it from this world." Finishing, he ignored the furious gaze of Elder Jin Zhong, gripping his head, looking towards the secret realm's entrance. Using superpower to check, seeing no display of danger, Lu Qing no longer hesitated, dragging Elder Jin Zhong in with a step. Space shifted and the scene transformed. When the light returned to Lu Qing's eyes, his divine soul sensing was immediately deployed. He then discovered himself standing on a massive platform paved with jade stones. Beneath his feet was a complex teleportation array pattern, with clouds rolling in layers ahead, close enough to touch. Below lay a vast expanse of land. He now found himself atop a massive, majestic mountain floating in the air. Could it be that the name Suspended Mountain derives from this? Understanding his surroundings, a strange thought suddenly arose in Lu Qing's mind. Golden Bell Supreme Elder, W. What's happened to you? At this moment, a stammering voice came from the side. Lu Qing turned to see two middle-aged monks, fearfully looking at him and the elder Jinzhong he was carrying. Sadly, their question was destined not to be answered. Elder Jinzhong's Qi Dantian and forehead acupoint, and even all his meridians were sealed by Lu Qing. Now he couldn't even speak, let alone perform divine soul transmission. He couldn't give any warning to the two Suspended Mountain disciples, and could only show anxious eyes, signaling to the two. The two middle-aged monks could not grasp the meaning behind Elder Jinzhong's eyes, but they could clearly see that Elder Jinzhong had obviously been restrained by someone. Moreover, seeing the distinctive ghost face mask on Lu Qing's face, the two immediately understood. This man holding Elder Jinzhong must be the notorious ghost face demon who's been the subject of gossip throughout the temple recently. Recalling the earlier commotion in the temple, and someone shouting about the Supreme Elder's soul lamp being extinguished, the two middle-aged monks instantly realized what had happened. Enemy invasion. The ghost-faced demon, who recently had forced Suspended Mountain to cower within the secret realm, not daring to venture out, had now infiltrated their stronghold. One of the middle-aged monks quickly reacted, using his movement technique to rush towards a massive ancient bell hanging nearby. Qi blood erupted, and he smashed his fist onto the bell hammer. Boom! The next moment, a massive bell sound reverberated, spreading throughout the entire Suspended Mountain secret realm in no time. And Elder Jinzhong, watching this unfold, closed his eyes in despair. Chapter 643, Crushed to Pieces. The gigantic bell toll resounded throughout the entire secret realm. The Suspended Mountain, which had been thrown into chaos due to the extinguishing of the Supreme Elder's soul lamps. Upon hearing the toll, everybody froze, because they realized the direction of the bell was from the entrance of the secret realm. This indicated that the massive warning bell at the entrance had been struck. And only one situation could cause the bell to be struck: an external invasion. Only when a formidable enemy, hard to fend off, invades the secret realm, would that bell possibly be struck. It signaled the entire Suspended Mountain secret realm to enter the highest alert level. However, it should be known that the bell hadn't been struck for countless years. Most monks within the secret realm had only heard of the bell's legend but had never heard it ring. After all, with the foundation and strength of Suspended Mountain, who in the world could pose a threat, let alone invade the secret realm? Legend has it, the last toll was over 2,000 years ago when the four great secret places erupted into conflict. Even when that ghost-faced demon with the mask slaughtered so many disciples in the temple, forcing Suspended Mountain to retreat within the secret realm, unable to venture out. Despite such humiliation, the temple did not ring the bell. Now, what kind of emergency could compel the temple to ring the bell? For a moment, almost all monks of Suspended Mountain were both shocked and bewildered, unclear on what had happened. However, someone quickly recovered their senses and rushed toward the platform at the secret realm entrance. Tower Master, what happened at Suspended Mountain? In a corner underground of Suspended Mountain, within the hamlet of Wujin Building, Elder Yu asked in horror. He did not know the meaning of the bell, yet somehow felt a strong unease in his heart. Unclear. The Wujin Building Master had a layer of black light in his eyes, staring intently at the heavens. Yet, his spell wasn't advanced enough to pierce through the cloud cover of the Suspended Mountain's array to see what was happening above. Yet similarly, his heart was trembling. Suspended Mountain exuded a chaotic aura that left his heart and spirit troubled. Even though his cultivation lately had seen a breakthrough, he still couldn't fly, unable to investigate the situation above. Demon, release the Supreme Elder. Otherwise, when the powerful figures of Suspended Mountain arrive, I will ensure you die without a burial place. The middle-aged monk, upon successfully ringing the warning bell, felt assured and shouted at Lu Qing. However, Lu Qing merely glanced at him, and the middle-aged monk seemed to suffer a severe blow. He spat out fresh blood, flew backward, collided with the large bell, and after a loud clang, he blacked out and fell lifelessly to the ground. "Brother Ming Yi!" The remaining middle-aged monk exclaimed loudly upon seeing this. However, his senior brother was destined not to respond. Facing Lu Qing's golden core might, having only innate realm cultivation, his survival was impossible. The living middle-aged monk, sensing his senior brother's dissipating presence, realized that his senior brother had indeed perished. He looked at Lu Qing in horror, falling back down to the ground, stammering, "Demon, demon!" Lu Qing did not continue his assault because he sensed a large number of auras rapidly approaching. Soon, a figure landed on the platform. "Brother Ming Hui, what demon? Why was the warning bell struck? Brother Ming Yi, what happened to him?" That figure asked immediately, but quickly. He saw the lifeless body of the middle-aged monk beside the massive bell and cried out in shock. Then, several more figures appeared beside him. "Brother Ming Hui, what happened?" "Brother, disciple Ming Yi." All the monks upon arrival first noticed the fallen Ming Yi on the ground. However, Ming Hui seemed to ignore their words, not responding, but still looking in terror at Lu Qing ahead. The others, following his gaze, also saw Lu Qing not far away. Upon seeing the mask on Lu Qing's face and the person he held, everyone was again shocked. Ghost-faced demon, Golden Bell Supreme Elder. Lu Qing's expression didn't change. He only looked at the monks continuously gathering and sighed a bit. From what he sensed, these approaching monks of Suspended Mountain most had unusual cultivation. Just among the innate realm there were nearly 100 and not a few of Foundation Establishment realm. Indeed, this was the depth of heritage from a power passed down from the ancient immortal cultivation era. However, despite the monks of Suspended Mountain gathering continuously, and even after seeing him, they began to form an array against him. Lu Qing still made no move. He looked up, toward the mountaintop of Suspended Mountain. There, he could feel a rather powerful aura concealing itself. Presumably, it was the host whom the red-faced old monks mentioned before, who had passed the Golden Core tribulation. Yet, the other concealed his aura and remained inactive, intending not to expose himself so soon, aiming to observe his condition further. Lu Qing smiled slightly, looking at the numerous monks who had already formed formations, regarding him as a formidable enemy. He abruptly spoke, "Old monk, you're hiding there like a turtle, not daring to show yourself. Don't you worry I'll annihilate all these pupils of yours in Suspended Mountain?" The aura on the mountaintop remained silent. Instead, around him, some monks couldn't help but shout, "Demon, cease your arrogance. Release Golden Bell Supreme Elder immediately, or face certain death." "Are you talking about this old monk?" Lu Qing lifted Elder Jin Zhong in his hand, allowing all monks to see clearly. Seeing the Supreme Elder, usually a symbol of mystery and power in the temple, being held by the head like this, all monks of Suspended Mountain wore expressions of both indignation and dread. Elder Jin Zhong, being a Supreme Elder, enjoyed so high a status in the temple. Now, being held like a fallen dog, displayed shamelessly before all disciples, the humiliation in his heart was imaginable. If not for all his strength being sealed, unable to exert any, he would have already chosen to self-detonate his golden core, perishing together with Lu Qing. "Release the Supreme Elder," a monk shouted again, yet no one dared to take action first. "Old monk, since you're unwilling to show yourself, I'll extinguish all your pupils first, cutting off the roots of Suspended Mountain, and then I'll play with you." Lu Qing saw no sign of the mountaintop aura revealing itself, shook his head. Then he applied a slight force, crushing Elder Jin Zhong's head in his hand. Chapter 644. A Move to Kill. Bang! With a slight exertion, Lu Qing crushed Elder Jin Zhong's head. A dignified Golden Core realm cultivator, known to have reached the pinnacle of power in the present world. Yet, just like that, was effortlessly crushed to death by Lu Qing. Without even a hint of resistance. His form and spirit were both extinguished, and his life force dissipated. This scene directly stunned all the monks of the suspended mountain. They hadn't expected, under such an assembly of masters encircling him with an array, this evil demon would still be so audacious and reckless. To dare to crush Elder Jinzhong's head right in front of them. Supreme Elder! Many monks cried out in anguish. Even atop the mountain, the aura that Lu Qing had been carefully monitoring subtly fluctuated. It seemed unexpected that Lu Qing was so decisive, without the slightest hesitation. He directly crushed a Golden Core realm cultivator to death. Evil demon! My suspended mountain and you are sworn enemies. Activate the array. Follow me in exterminating the evil demon. A Foundation Establishment realm monk, eyes reddened, clearly filled with utmost grief. With a loud shout, he sacrificed a yellow bead magical treasure. Accompanied by his shout, all the surrounding monks of Suspended Mountain, equally filled with anger and grief, immediately surged their chi blood spiritual power, then connected via the array, converging on the Foundation Establishment realm monk. The power gathered by over 108 and Foundation Establishment cultivators is terrifying. Their might so powerful that even the space within the secret realm slightly trembled. That Foundation Establishment monk located at the array eye, receiving this mighty power boost, immediately flushed red, and the bead magical treasure in front of him emitted a dazzling light, its power skyrocketing. Transforming into a massive sphere, it pressed towards Lu Qing. Even before the magical treasure reached him, Lu Qing felt his body sink, a very heavy force pressing upon him. Earth element magic treasure? Earth vein magnetic force? Lu Qing's gaze slightly condensed, so many suspended mountain monks jointly activating the array power was already not weaker than an ordinary Golden Core Realm 3rd Transition expert. Had it been another Golden Core Realm cultivator here, even one as strong as the white-robed youth that day, they would likely struggle to gain any advantage. As expected of a power with tens of thousands of years of heritage. Lu Qing mentally expressed such admiration once more. However, they want to use Earth vein magnetic force against him. A thought stirred. The Earth spirit pearl in his forehead acupoint slightly shook, and a flash of yellow light on his body instantly dissipated the weight upon him. Then, before the many suspended mountain monks could react, he grabbed, and the surging Earth vein magnetic force spread out, instantly covering the entire jade platform. Following this, Lu Qing raised his hand. All the suspended mountain monks found in terror that a mighty binding power weighed upon them. Their bodies uncontrollably floated upward, suspending in mid-air. Old monk, since you won't show yourself, then watch as your disciples and grand-disciples are torn to pieces. Lu Qing used the earth vein magnetic force to lift all the suspended mountain monks. He looked at the mountain top, speaking indifferently. In the next moment, his hand was about to press down. Show mercy. The presence atop the mountain could no longer sit idly by. Its aura surged, raising a powerful momentum. A silhouette swiftly flew down. Abbot! The monks suspended in the air of Suspended Mountain all rejoiced upon sensing this aura. Someone even shouted loudly, Abbot, quickly kill this demon. The Supreme Elder was killed by him. However, Lu Qing grinned at this moment. Now you appear. Too late. As soon as the words fell, his hand pressed downward. With this action, the monks suspended in the air suddenly felt their bodies become countless times heavier. While being squeezed by the powerful earth vein magnetic force to the point of spitting blood, their bodies also plummeted at incredible speed. Boom! The entire jade platform twisted and deformed under Lu Qing's activated earth vein magnetic force. The bodies of the 100-plus suspended mountain monks twisted and deformed under such terrifying power. In an instant, blood flowed profusely across the massive platform. The thick scent of blood permeated, resembling hell. All suspended mountain monks, whether innate realm or Foundation Establishment realm, perished under Lu Qing's pressure, not one spared. Bang! A silhouette abruptly stopped mid-air, stirring bursts of air currents. looking with nearly unbelievable eyes at the hellish scene below. And Lu Qing standing in the midst of the purgatory. Old monk, finally come out? Lu Qing looked up at the figure in the sky, a monk with a slightly chubby build, wearing a kasaya, his face ruddy smooth like a baby's bald head. However, at this moment, the abbot of Suspended Mountain still focused his gaze on the deceased monks. His eyes filled with sorrow, knowing that Suspended Mountain was finished. This platform gathered almost all the temple's elites, and now they were exterminated by Lu Qing's single move. Even if he could kill Lu Qing, with so many disciples dead, Suspended Mountain was destined to decline. Thinking of the heritage of tens of thousands of years, now destroyed at his hands, the abbot of Suspended Mountain felt an explosive rage, bloodshot eyes fixed fiercely on Lu Qing. Evil demon, what enmity does my Suspended Mountain have with you, that you pursue such total extermination? What enmity? Lu Qing casually said, Indeed, your Suspended Mountain committed too many evils. To list them one by one, I'm afraid the true demons have not committed as many atrocities as you. Forgetting who your enemies are may be normal. But it doesn't matter. Just consider me here today as executing justice on behalf of heaven. What a noble reason for justice! The abbot of Suspended Mountain laughed in frustration, suddenly shouted, Then I shall first vanquish you, evil demon! With that said, a powerful aura emerged from him. Meanwhile, where Lu Qing stood on the mountain body, an aura surged as well, connecting to him. Instantly, the abbot's momentum surged, escalating rapidly by several times over. Lu Qing suddenly felt something was amiss, slightly ascending from the ground. Then he focused his eyes, seeing the jade platform beneath him begin to writhe. It not only absorbed the freely flowing blood underground, but even those Suspended Mountain disciple corpses, all devoured. Subsequently, the abbot's aura strengthening pace accelerated even more. Faint threads of black energy surfaced on him. Spiritual artifact? Feeling the rising aura from the ground, Lu Qing immediately understood. So the spiritual artifact maintaining this secret realm is integrated within this Suspended Mountain body. Earlier you stayed hidden, using the spiritual artifact's power to stabilize your realm. Lu Qing casually swung out a wisp of sword qi, slicing towards the abbot in midair. But as the sword qi was about to reach him, a radiance emerged on him, blocking Lu Qing's sword qi. Spiritual artifact protection. Feeling the defensive strength of that radiance, Lu Qing understood that this was not something easily breached. The Suspended Mountain's spiritual artifact, although integrated within the mountain body to maintain stability of this secret realm. But this abbot, through uncountable years of refinement and communication, was evidently able to harness the spiritual artifact's power. Unless he could shake the foundations of this Suspended Mountain body, it would be difficult to break through the defensive power of the spiritual artifact upon his opponent. Watching the abbot's aura continually rising, black energy entwining him, occasional expressions of pain on his face, clearly employing some secret technique, Lu Qing's form flickered, transforming into a stream of light, flew away from the platform, reaching a higher altitude. With a grasp of his hand, an ancient small tripod appeared before him, quickly growing larger in the wind. Chapter 645. Spiritual Artifact Clash, Earth-Shattering Collision. Looking at the Suspended Mountain host, whose aura was continuously rising, Lu Qing, without hesitation, summoned the Leaving Fire Tripod. The spiritual artifact of the Suspended Mountain, which had suppressed this secret realm for tens of thousands of years, had long fused with it. He wanted to break it, but it wasn't that easy. So he simply used a spiritual artifact as well. Lu Qing's current cultivation was incredibly formidable. Having formed a perfect golden core, his mana was so pure that it was not inferior to even those with a 4th transition top-grade golden core realm. The Leaving Fire Tripod was summoned, and its initially thumb-sized body grew with the wind, in the blink of an eye becoming as large as a hill. The power it exuded was even more terrifying, with signs that even the space within the secret realm could not bear it, trembling slightly. Roar! A chi dragon emitting green flames emerged from the mouth of the cauldron, coiling around its body, its lantern-like eyes staring at the suspended mountain host below. The yen, incarnate into a chi dragon, was extremely excited. How many years had it been since it could reveal its true form again and reprise its former majestic appearance that had once shaken the world? And now, upon emerging, it was up against the suspended mountain passed down from the ancient immortal cultivation era, filling its heart with grand pride. "What is that?" Elder Yu on the ground shouted in surprise upon seeing the suddenly appearing giant cauldron. "That is a magical treasure." The Wujin building master stared intently upward, his eyes' black glow deepening. Having used a pupil skill, he could see the situation above much clearer than Elder Yu. Someone is attacking Suspended Mountain. It's that ghost-face masked man. What, attacking Suspended Mountain? Elder Yu was even more horrified, unable to imagine that someone could invade the Suspended Mountain's secret realm, one of the 4 great secret places. Indeed, no wonder there was chaos up there earlier. It seems this ghost-face masked man has put immense pressure on Suspended Mountain. The Wujin building master was equally shocked, but his tone was more filled with excitement. "Perhaps this is our chance. If that ghost-face masked man and Suspended Mountain weaken each other thoroughly, maybe we can use that to escape from this secret realm." Escape the secret realm. Elder Yu's voice was filled with excitement upon hearing this. Leaving this damned place had been the dream of generations of the Wujin building lineage. If they could truly get out, it would be worth any cost. Now it depends on how much that ghost-face masked man can battle it out with Suspended Mountain. The Wujin building master unconsciously began to pray in his heart. In the village, other assassins who were disturbed by the celestial phenomenon also heard the building master's words and couldn't help but feel excited. While the Wujin building master and the others were excited, the situation above began to change. As Lu Qing summoned the leaving fire tripod and gathered its aura, the Suspended Mountain host also finally fully deployed his secret technique, reaching a zenith of momentum. In Lu Qing's perception, it was no weaker than that gray-robed man from the other day. "Evil demon, you have destroyed my Suspended Mountain's foundation of tens of thousands of years. Today I shall make you pay in blood." The Suspended Mountain host by now was shrouded in black energy, and his face had turned into a yin-yang face, left red, right black. The aura he exuded was ghost-like. Gone was any trace of a monk. No one would doubt if he was called a demon. "Go!" Facing the harsh words of the Suspended Mountain host, Lu Qing's eyes did not flicker in the slightest. He formed a spell and pointed downwards. Immediately, a dragon roar resounded. Yen, turned into a chi dragon, with a hint of excitement on its face, controlled the leaving fire tripod, carrying unbounded power, and crashed down from high above. In just a blink of an eye, it smashed onto the jade platform where the Suspended Mountain host was. At the last moment, a radiance also emerged from the gigantic mountain body, meeting the leaving fire tripod. Boom! This clash was truly earth-shattering. The leaving fire tripod, as large as a small mountain, crashing into the suspended giant mountain, was like a meteor hitting the earth. The massive, unrestrained energy burst forth, tearing everything around apart. Even the nearby space began to twist and deform, tearing open black cracks. Evidently, the collision of the 2 spiritual artifacts was more than the secret realm space could bear, tearing it apart. More of those shockwave patterns spread from high above, leveling the undulating mountains below to flat ground. Not good. Everyone, get down now. The Wujin building master, who was using a secret pupil skill to observe the battle above, suddenly changed his expression and shouted. The others didn't understand what's happening, but out of trust in the building master, they instinctively lay down where they were. In less than a breath after lying down, all the Wujin building assassins felt it. An indescribable wave descended from the sky, sweeping away everything beside them like devastative floods. Some unfortunate assassins were directly shaken to vomit blood, flying out, their fate unknown. When everything calmed down, the surviving assassins of the Wujin building stood up, instantly stunned by the scene before them. Their village, their survival basis, had been leveled to the ground, turned into ruins. Numerous clan members and companions were unlucky enough to be struck by falling stones and giant logs, dying tragically on the spot. What is this? All the Wujin building assassins looked bewildered at this scene, unable to comprehend what had occurred. Building Master! Elder Yu emerged from a dirt pit, shouting. However, the Wujin building master didn't respond, nor did he have time to care for the dead clansmen behind him. Instead, covered in dust, he stared intently at the sky above, eyes filled with fear, as if he saw something unbelievable. Following his gaze, Elder Yu's mouth dropped open wide the next moment. The other Wujin building assassins also looked up. They too were shaken, showing expressions of extreme dread. Before their eyes, the massive floating mountain that had always hung majestically in the sky with great authority since they could remember. Now it was missing a large chunk, directly vanishing by a third. It looked as if some terrifying beast had taken a huge bite out of it. Masses of rocks and debris fell from high above. The scene was incredibly startling. The Wujin building's assassins had never witnessed such a world-shattering change. This was beyond their imagination of power. In everyone's hearts, there was only a vague thought. What on earth happened up there? Ah! Evil demon, I will perish with you. While the Wujin building's assassins were in a daze, a fierce shout suddenly came from high above. The voice was incredibly sharp, like the wailing of a fierce ghost, chilling everyone who heard it. Chapter 646, Killing with Malice, the Destruction of Suspended Mountain. Refreshing. I haven't felt so exhilarated in a long time. High in the sky, the leaving fire tripod had already transformed to the size of a person, flying back beside Lu Qing. The Qi dragon formed by Yen still coiled around the body of the tripod. Its eyes were full of excitement. Ever since it was damaged tens of thousands of years ago, it had not experienced such an impeccably powerful release of its force in a long time. However, this old guy actually survived that? Yen looked down, somewhat amazed. The recent strike was already close to 1/10 of the power it had at its peak. One should know, in its peak days it was in the hands of a primordial spirit great power. This old monk was merely newly entered into the Golden Core realm. Yet he managed to withstand and survive, which was truly rare. Lu Qing also gazed downward. At this time, the enormous jade platform had long disappeared, leaving only a massive crater in its place. And in the crater, the condition of the suspended mountain host was utterly tragic. Half of his body had vanished without a trace, with the remaining half nearly melted away by the burn. Only his head could barely maintain its integrity. If not for the exceptionally strong life energy of the Golden Core realm, he would have been annihilated and completely fallen already. Yet, even if he didn't die, the host of the suspended mountain was now gravely wounded. His magic power Golden Core was nearly shattered, and his forehead acupoint was on the verge of collapse. With such injuries, even if he could recover, his realm would surely regress, making it difficult to advance. Lying in the deep pit, looking at the unscathed Lu Qing, the host of the suspended mountain was filled with despair. He hadn't expected this evil demon to be so powerful. Even though he had used the forbidden method from the temple and had the power of a spiritual artifact to assist him, he couldn't harm the opponent at all. Seeing Lu Qing, whose aura hadn't diminished at all, the host of the suspended mountain realized that avenging the disciples of the temple with his own power was impossible. Moreover, after such an earth-shattering collision, the disciples remaining on the mountain couldn't withstand it, and they might have perished already. This means that the legacy of the suspended mountain, which has lasted for tens of thousands of years, now only has him left alive. Thinking of this, the host of the suspended mountain's eyes burst with intense venomous gazes once more. Evil demon, don't be complacent. Though my suspended mountain is gone, you won't have it easy either. I will take you with me to perish together. With that, he spat out a golden pearl from his mouth and crushed it with his hand. As he crushed the golden pearl, the entire secret realm suddenly shook. Subsequently, The giant mountain that had been floating in the air began to tremble, slowly descending. The space within the secret realm also started trembling. At the same time, Lu Qing felt an extremely dangerous aura emanating from that mountain body. Not good. This old monk wants to self-detonate the spiritual artifact and completely destroy the space of this secret realm. Yan suddenly exclaimed in shock. This secret realm lasted for tens of thousands of years, all due to that spiritual artifact maintaining the stability of the space here. Once that spiritual artifact self-detonates and space stability is destroyed, this secret realm will vanish and be obliterated. Ha ha ha! I didn't think you, little worm, had some insight. The host of the suspended mountain laughed hysterically upon hearing Yan's words. But so what if you see through it? The array keeping the secret realm's exit has already been destroyed in the previous collision. You have no way to escape, so stay here and be the burial companion for my suspended mountain. The host of the suspended mountain stared intently at Lu Qing, harboring a resolve to die and determined to perish together. What he wanted most now was to witness the enemy's struggles and despair before death. If he could see this evil demon's despair before he died, that, to him, would be the best funeral melody. However, to the host of the suspended mountain's disappointment, even after hearing they would be staying as burial companions, he still couldn't see a trace of panic on that evil demon. The other party's expression had been calm from start to finish, without a ripple. Contrarily, Yan appeared somewhat anxious upon hearing this. Young master, what should we do? The obliteration of this secret realm is no small matter. By then, even a primordial spirit great power might not be able to guard against the raging spatial power. How about you hide within the leaving fire tripod later on, and we forcefully break out when the secret realm collapses? Yan anxiously transmitted through the divine soul to Lu Qing. It hadn't expected this old monk from the suspended mountain to be so crazy as to directly blow up the entire secret realm space. No need. Lu Qing casually rejected Yan's proposal. Though the leaving fire tripod is a middle-grade spiritual device and has been nurtured by him for a long time since the spiritual energy recovery, incorporating quite some outer heaven-fallen iron, it still fell short of its former peak state. If they were to break out like this, regardless of whether they could successfully make it out or not, even if they could successively exit under the crushing force of the raging spatial power, its power would likely greatly reduce, suffering severe damage once more. After much effort to restore most its power to the leaving fire tripod, how could he allow it to be damaged again? He looked at the host of the suspended mountain lying in the pit, slowly descending with the giant mountain. Lu Qing's gaze held a hint of mockery. Old monk, do you really think this mere secret realm space can trap me? What do you mean? The eyes of the host of the suspended mountain widened. Then in the next moment, he saw a small silver boat suddenly appear in Lu Qing's hand. Do you want to know what this is? Lu Qing seemed to sense the thoughts of the host of the suspended mountain, weighing the small boat in his hand. Unhurriedly explaining, this boat is called the Void Flying Boat. As its name suggests, its capability is to penetrate space and traverse the void. Naturally, even a small secret realm space cannot obstruct it. Void Flying Boat? Impossible. How can such an exotic treasure exist in the world? The host of the suspended mountain stared at the small boat in Lu Qing's hand, shouting in disbelief. Whether it's possible or not, you'll see soon, old monk. Since you want to destroy this secret realm, then I shall not accompany you. Just in time, you will perish along with this filthy space. Lu Qing released a sword chi, cutting through the host of the suspended mountain, directly shattering his Dan Tian Chi Si, completely collapsing the barely intact magic power golden core. Already gravely injured, the host of the suspended mountain, upon sustaining further severe injury, instantly entered a dying state. If not for that last bit of reluctance that barely held his heart and spirit, his divine soul might have already dissipated. He stared intently at Lu Qing, unable to believe that the bedraggled silver little boat in Lu Qing's hand had such a magical function. But in the next moment, what he saw confirmed the truth. The silver little boat in Lu Qing's hand suddenly grew bigger, after which Lu Qing collected the leaving fire tripod and entered the flying boat. Following that, intense spatial fluctuations arose. A ripple-like spatial vortex appeared, into which the silver flying boat plunged headfirst and completely disappeared from the secret realm. Seeing this scene, how could the host of the suspended mountain not understand that what the evil demon had said was indeed true? A look of overwhelming despair appeared on his face.
No.
Chapter 647, Space Annihilation, a Small Accident. No! With the desperate shout of the suspended mountain host, the falling speed of the giant suspended mountain increased even more. Self-destruct secret realm?
No.
On the ground, the Wujin building master heard Lu Qing and the suspended mountain host's conversation, and his expression changed dramatically. Elder Yu was equally panic-stricken. Master, what should we do? This suspended mountain is going to be destroyed. Won't we also be buried here? The Wujin building master's face was grim. What could he do? He had absolutely no solution, looking at the giant suspended mountain still falling ahead, and the space around them beginning to oscillate and distort. The Wujin building master's face showed utter despair. He knew it was over. Everything was over. The secret realm exit was destroyed, and they had no ability to break through the secret realm. So it was predestined that they would be buried together with the suspended mountain in this secret realm. The ancestors once agreed to be a blade for the suspended mountain to survive. For 1,000 years, they have secretly done countless evil deeds for the suspended mountain. Is it retribution now? We are to be completely annihilated with the monks of the suspended mountain in this secret realm. The Wujin building master watched as the giant suspended mountain began to crash into the ground. An extremely powerful impact force spread in all directions, rushing towards them. Suddenly, a thought arose in his mind. The next moment, he was swept away by the impact force and completely lost consciousness. In West State, at the Lingshan mountain range, near the enormous gate formed by two intersecting peaks, a space ripple suddenly appeared mid-air, followed closely by a somewhat shabby, ancient silver flying boat emerging from it. Lu Qing flew out of the void flying boat and stored it away. So, young master, you still have this trick up your sleeve. This silver flying boat can actually traverse voids and pierce through secret realm spaces. No wonder that gray-robed man was desperate to get into this flying boat at the time. Yan appeared beside Lu Qing, full of amazement. Previously, when Lu Qing refined the void flying boat, he did not reveal its capabilities. So even Yan did not know that this silver flying boat could traverse voids. This void traversal is not omnipotent. To traverse accurately, you must have prior knowledge of the space coordinates, Lu Qing said. So, young master, you deliberately kept that Golden Bell monk alive to let him open the secret realm entrance himself? Yan suddenly realized. The suspended mountain secret realm is hidden within space layers and is not easy to locate. Directly using the void boat to traverse can easily fall into space turbulence. Lu Qing nodded. The main reason is that his current realm is still unable to fully comprehend the space Dao, making it impossible to locate the secret realm where the suspended mountain is within many space layers. Entering directly from the secret realm entrance is the most reliable method. As for once inside, it becomes much simpler. He had already left his spirit mark outside, which allowed him to easily locate the external space and break out from within. While chatting with the artifact spirit, suddenly, not far from the gate, a space fluctuation was sensed. The destructive aura made them feel an inexplicable horror. Fortunately, the fluctuation did not ultimately spread out and gradually subsided. It seems that the suspended mountain secret realm is truly destroyed. Yan said with some emotion. That suspended mountain old monk was indeed ruthless. A secret realm that had been passed down for tens of thousands of years was destroyed just like that. Moreover, it was even more poignant that, in this way, the legacy of top sects from ancient cultivation times left in this world was also severed. Lu Qing remained silent. From the moment Suspended Mountain wanted to indoctrinate his master, it was destined that only one between them and this force could survive. If he hadn't grown fast enough, he believed that, given Suspended Mountain's tyrannical behavior. Everything related to him would have already met a tragic end. Young master, did you feel, while within the secret realm, that aside from those monk donkeys of Suspended Mountain, there seemed to be other people living there? Yen suddenly asked. There were indeed other people living inside. Judging by their aura, it should be the Wujin building clan. After entering the Golden Core realm, Lu Qing's divine soul power underwent a qualitative transformation. The range he could sense increased again. Though the Suspended Mountain secret realm was large, he could at least sense nearly half of its area. Naturally, he had already discovered the people on the ground and identified their identities from the aura they released. Originally, he planned to deal with that group of trash after eliminating the Suspended Mountain. Unexpectedly, the host of the Suspended Mountain self-destructed the secret realm, saving him some effort without having to do it himself. All right, since the Suspended Mountain has been resolved successfully, let's head back. Lu Qing was in a good mood. Though there were some twists on this journey, overall it was quite smooth. The only regret was that the host of Suspended Mountain was too crazy, and seeing he couldn't kill him, directly self-destructed the secret realm, leaving him without the opportunity to seize treasures, causing the tens of thousands of years of Suspended Mountain's accumulation to be completely obliterated within the realm. But this was no serious harm. Despite Suspended Mountain's legacy for tens of thousands of years, during these tens of thousands of years, the world was in a period of spiritual energy depletion. Thinking about it, the collection of Suspended Mountain, no matter how great, would still be limited in spiritual objects. It's not considered a significant loss to him. After comforting himself a bit, Lu Qing then summoned the golden small boat and transformed into a stream of light, flying toward Song State. Behind him, the gate formed by the convergence of the two peaks still stood, seemingly unchanged. No one knew that one of the four great secret places, Suspended Mountain, which had quietly manipulated and controlled the world's situation for tens of thousands of years, had been completely annihilated without a trace. Even the lair was utterly obliterated, reverting into space turbulence. After entering the Golden Core realm, activating the golden small boat naturally increased his speed significantly. Within less than half a day, he returned from West State to Tsong State. However, just as he passed over a county town, sweeping his divine soul power downward, he raised an eyebrow. He stopped, stored the golden small boat, and descended. Soon, Lu Qing landed at the corner of a street in the town. The people throughout the street behaved as if they didn't notice his descent from the sky, showing no reaction at all. Given Lu Qing's current realm and cultivation, hiding his presence before a crowd of mortals was naturally effortless. By simply using divine soul power to distort the surrounding light, he could easily cloak his figure, rendering himself invisible to everyone. This trick was inspired by the invisibility talent he observed from Little Li in the past. Removing the ghost face mask on his face, retracting the distorted light around him, Lu Qing walked out from the corner. As soon as he left the street, he heard a somewhat sharp voice. "Fourth brother, is this the county town you govern? It's rather shabby, isn't it?" Chapter 648. Cause and Effect. Lu Qing looked towards the direction of the voice. He saw several figures standing by the window of a restaurant not far away, looking down at the street below. Among them were two people Lu Qing recognized. They were Manager Wei and the county lord Yen Songhai. As for the person who had just spoken, it was a young man, about 20 years old, dressed in luxurious attire, whose face bore some resemblance to Yen Songhai. Behind him stood several imposing guards, exuding the essence of the innate. Hearing the young man's words, Yen Songhai's face did not look too pleasant. "Seventh brother, what is your real purpose for coming here? You can tell me now. Surely it's not just to see me make a fool of myself. Why aren't we brothers after all? Can't a younger brother visit his elder brother?" The young man in luxurious clothing said with a smile. "Brothers?" Yen Songhai finally couldn't hold back, sneering. "Wasn't it a ploy set up by you brothers that led me to be banished here by Father King? You really can't put it that way, fourth brother. The young man in luxurious clothing did not get angry and continued smiling. At the time, we merely mentioned that secret in passing, and it was you who couldn't help but go inquire with Father King, thus violating his taboo. How can you blame us for setting up a trap to harm you? If it weren't for your excessive curiosity, how would you have been banished here by Father King? Yen Songhai was taken aback and found himself speechless, because he knew that, if he were to reflect on it, his own reckless actions were indeed largely to blame. After a long while, Yen Songhai took a deep breath. All right, I won't argue with you about this matter, but don't beat around the bush with me either. Just be honest. Why have you come here this time? And with Father King's birthday approaching, aren't you afraid of losing favor by venturing out now? Yen Songhai said, It seems, fourth brother, you still hold a lot of resentment towards me. Well then, let me be frank. The young man in luxurious clothing finally assumed a serious demeanor. I came this time on the occasion of Father King's birthday. I want to prepare a special birthday gift for Father King and hope that you can assist me. Yen Songhai was stunned, then sneered. In this desolate area, what treasures could there possibly be? Besides, Yen Songshan, why should I help you? If there really were a treasure, wouldn't I present it to Father King myself? Fourth brother, you caused a considerable stir back then. Do you think a mere birthday gift could appease Father King? I believe just seeing your name could still ignite his anger. Wouldn't it? The young man in luxurious clothing countered. Yen Songhai fell into silence. He knew that Father King had never quite let go of his anger towards the deeds of the past. This was something that had been frequently mentioned in letters from his mother consort. She had repeatedly warned him not to return to the royal capital until Father King had completely cooled down. Even letters must be written sparingly, to minimize his presence, lest one day Father King recalls and punishes him again. The young man in luxurious clothing saw his silence and continued, Fourth brother, you should understand, without a royal decree from Father King, you cannot leave Song County unless you renounce your royal status. Yen Songhai remained silent. Renouncing royal status would mean giving up everything. Not to mention whether the Yen family would consent. Even if they did, his mother consort would likely be affected. So, fourth brother, if you help me this time, in the future, when I ascend the throne, I can revoke the royal punishment against you. You could go wherever you desire, be it returning to the royal capital or traveling the world, entirely at your will. I might even grant you a fief. The young man in luxurious clothing said. Ascend the throne? Yen Songhai looked at the young man in luxurious clothing with a quizzical smile. Father King is still in good health. What makes you so certain that you could ascend the throne? That's not something you need to worry about, fourth brother. The young man in luxurious clothing said mildly. However, I can reveal to you, I have recently gained the support of Heavenly Elder. Heavenly Elder has chosen to support you? Yen Songhai was visibly taken aback. Indeed, and let me share another piece of information with you, fourth brother. Some time ago, with the changes in heaven and earth, Heavenly Elder sensed something profound. He succeeded in breaking through barriers, advancing to a realm above innate. A realm above innate. Yen Songhai was once again visibly shaken. Yes, a realm above innate, said the young man in luxurious clothing. So, fourth brother, do you still think I have no chance of ascending the throne? Yen Songhai's expression turned hesitant and indecisive. Heavenly Elder was originally the most powerful individual in the royal family. He had a significant say over the succession of the throne, now having broken through to a realm above innate. If he truly expressed support for Yen Songshan, probably more than half of the remaining elder members of the royal family would choose to support him. Housekeeper Wei, on the side, was equally taken aback in his heart. Nonetheless, he did not show any expression on his face. Truth be told, although he heard such exhilarating news about the succession of the throne, yet up till now, he did not know the reason why County Lord had him accompany him here. Could it be to involve the Wei family in the contest for the throne? How do you want me to help you? After a while, Yen Songhai suddenly asked. The young man in luxurious clothing smiled slightly, Well, it's quite simple. I've heard that fourth brother gets along very well with Lin Jirue, a true disciple of Tianji Building, and you are close friends. I've heard he is currently in Song State, so I wish for you to introduce me, as I have something I need his help with. You want to see Jirue? Yen Songhai showed a very unexpected expression. He did not expect that what Yen Songshan wanted help with would turn out to be this matter. However, he frowned and said, Jirue has always been reluctant to meet outsiders. I'm afraid it's challenging for me to do this. I know disciples of Tianji Building prefer not to engage with outsiders. But if you, fourth brother, could introduce us, I would owe you this favor. Why do you need Jirue's help? Why don't you tell me first, and I'll listen to see if Jirue might agree. The young man in luxurious clothing gave Yen Songhai a deep look, but he soon relaxed his expression. In truth, it's no major issue. Not long ago, I happened to acquire a map from some people. However, the map contains a cipher. I've searched throughout the royal capital for talents and experts, but none could decipher the meaning of the encrypted message. I've heard that disciples of Tianji Building are the most knowledgeable. They possess knowledge of the heavens above and the earth below, with incredible abilities in calculation and deduction. Hence, I want to ask Mr. Jirue to help interpret the cipher on the map. What kind of map is so important to you? Yen Songhai grew more curious. The young man in luxurious clothing had already reached this point, so there was no need to keep secrets. This map I obtained from a minor family that had gotten into trouble. The family itself is nothing special, but their ancestors once boasted a rather remarkable individual. I wonder if you, fourth brother, have ever heard of the name Li Weitian. At this point, Lu Qing finally understood. Why, when he had passed above the county town earlier, his heart and spirit suddenly felt a twinge of unease. The reason lay here. Chapter 649. The reason. Do you dare to take it? When he heard the young man in luxurious clothes mention the name Li Weitian, Lu Qing finally understood why he had suddenly felt a heart and spirit stirring moments ago. Back when he was in the Jade Cave, he obtained the inheritance Jade Scroll left by Li Weitian. It provided significant assistance at the start of his cultivation. He had indeed received Li Weitian's favor. Originally, he thought that after so long, everything concerning Li Weitian had dissipated. Unexpectedly, the other side still had a branch of relatives who continued on. Hearing the young man in luxurious clothes say that the small family had committed a wrong, Lu Qing knew that it was time to repay this cause and effect. While Lu Qing was pondering, the conversation in the tavern still continued.
Li Weitian.
Yen Songhai looked a bit puzzled, clearly never having heard the name. It's normal for fourth brother to not know this person. Li Weitian was someone from 700 or 800 years ago, and back then our Yen family hadn't even claimed kingship yet. I only discovered some of his deeds by chance, when I deliberately went to investigate this person, said the young man in luxurious clothes with a smile. Someone from 700 or 800 years ago? Yen Songhai was enlightened, just as he thought, even though he had left the royal capital for some years. If such a remarkable person had appeared, he shouldn't have been completely ignorant. He couldn't help but curiously ask, what is so special about this Li Weitian that makes you so concerned? Li Weitian was an unparalleled powerhouse 700 or 800 years ago. It's rumored that his cultivation back then had reached a peak realm. Once, as the national guardian of Ji country, he single-handedly wielded a sword, suppressing all the innate realm experts around the neighboring countries, making them unable to raise their heads. He could be said to be one of the strongest in the world at that time. Even in Central State, few could match him. Such a formidable one. Yen Songhai's body shook immediately, but he quickly reacted. Ji country? Isn't that? Precisely. It's the predecessor of our Yen country. Ji country. The young man in luxurious clothes nodded. Back then, Ji country was considered strong among the countries in our eastern border region. A large reason for this was the existence of Li Weitian. But later, after Li Weitian disappeared, Ji country declined. After barely supporting itself for over 100 years, it eventually fragmented. Most of the territory was led by our Yen family, which is how Yen country came to be. Such secrecy indeed, Yen Songhai murmured. The map in my hand was obtained from the descendants of Li Weitian. Back then, Li Weitian's martial arts and cultivation were peak, rarely encountering rivals. But similarly, his temperament was fierce and explosive, brave and fond of fighting. While he was still the national guardian of Ji country, he had challenged all the innate realm experts from the surrounding nations. Even if they locked their doors and didn't come out, he still forced his way to challenge them. The records in the literature state that in those challenges, he never lost, he was invincible. But because of this character, he offended quite a number of people. So, after Li Weitian disappeared, his family naturally suffered retaliation. Even if innate realm experts couldn't directly harm ordinary people, under the instructions of many powerhouses, the Li family soon fell. Later on, they vanished from sight, never to be seen again. Initially, many thought that some innate realm expert secretly took action to completely annihilate the Li family. It was only recently that I learned the Li family wasn't exterminated back then. Rather, they actively scattered the clan members, divided into smaller groups, hid their names, and retreated to the mountains and countryside, thus continuing on. However, because of this, after several hundred years of war and change, the Li family went from a great family that flourished for a time to a small clan with only a few dozen members. Listening to the luxurious young man's account, Yen Songhai felt an inexplicable emotion. Even the most prosperous family can't withstand the vicissitudes and ups and downs of time. But what intrigued him more was something else. Since the Li family has long hidden their identity, how did you learn of these things and obtain that map? This matter indeed came by chance. I recently took a new concubine. It turned out that on the day I took her out shopping, an insolent man collided with us. Angered, I captured the whole clan, planning to detain and execute them. Unexpectedly, that insolent man was the son of the current clan leader of the Li family. To save his life, the Li family's clan leader offered the map and explained the history of their family, trying to use this to preserve his family's lives. It said the map was left by Li Weitian in the clan before he disappeared. After hearing it, I became quite interested and wished to uncover the secrets of the map. If it indeed contains any treasure, it would be perfect to present as a birthday gift to Father King. The luxurious young man spoke pleasantly, but knowing his nature, Yen Songhai immediately heard the hidden tricks in it. He coldly chuckled and said, "What insolent man! Perhaps they were originally a couple, and seeing the beautiful woman, you forcibly seized her as a concubine, didn't you?" The young man didn't deny it, and calmly said, "Having caught my eye is her blessing. Enjoying luxury and wealth is better than marrying into a small family. Once you uncover the map's secrets, how do you plan to deal with the Li family?" Yen Songhai asked. "If the treasure within the map satisfies me, I may consider sparing their clan. But if there's nothing, then everything will proceed officially." Yen Songhai revealed a mocking expression. He too understood his seventh brother's nature. Chapter 650. The so-called handling public affairs impartially is still a matter of his word. "So, fourth brother, I've been so honest with you. Can you help me introduce Mr. Ji Rue?" Yen Songhai pondered for a moment before saying, "I can mention this to Ji Rue, but I can't guarantee that he will be willing to meet you. As long as fourth brother is willing to introduce me, that's enough. It's well known that people from Tianji Building love to explore the mysteries of the world. This map is likely related to the reason why Li Weitian suddenly disappeared hundreds of years ago. Regarding the final whereabouts of such a supreme figure, I believe Mr. Ji Rue would definitely be interested." The youth in elegant clothing was very confident. Yen Songhai did not speak. However, in his heart he did not think so. Considering his understanding of Ji Rue, if he knew the character of the seventh brother, he probably wouldn't be willing to unravel the mysteries on that map for him. "Is this the housekeeper of the Wei family?" At this time, the youth in elegant clothing looked towards Housekeeper Wei. Housekeeper Wei's heart stirred, thinking it was finally his turn. He slightly bowed. "I am Wei Hai, Greetings to the seventh prince. Unexpectedly, the youth in elegant clothing suddenly turned his expression grim. Housekeeper Wei, it seems the Wei family is quite aloof. I originally extended an invitation to your family head, but instead you, a mere servant, came. How is it that I, Yen Tsongshan, personally extended an invitation, and your family head is unwilling to come? Before housekeeper Wei could reply, Yen Songhai on the side shuddered. He quickly said, I invited housekeeper Wei. As for the Wei family master, as a dignified innate realm expert, he has long ceased to concern himself with mundane affairs. At this time, housekeeper Wei also said, I ask for your understanding, seventh prince. The family head has recently gained insights in his cultivation and has been in seclusion for a long time, making him unable to attend the banquet. The youth in elegant clothing did not speak, but the displeasure on his face was evident. However, he did not speak, and a guard behind him suddenly sneered. Humph, just a newly breakthrough innate realm. Yet putting on such airs, one might think he's broken through to the realm above innate. At the same time, a faint innate pressure descended upon housekeeper Wei, causing his body to sink, and his face turned red instantly. Yen Songhai felt a slight discomfort as well, but in his heart he was more shocked. With only an internal organ realm level himself, he suddenly realized that the guard of seventh brother is actually an innate realm expert. A dignified innate realm expert choosing to become a guard for seventh brother. What exactly is going on? Yen Songhai's heart became chaotic. Feeling that, after being away from the royal capital and staying in Song County for several years, he could no longer comprehend the changes in the world. All right, that's enough. Stop. The youth in elegant clothing spoke. With this sentence, the guard immediately withdrew his aura. Housekeeper Wei's body shook, almost unable to stand, cold sweat seeping from his forehead. Seeing this scene, Yen Songhai's heart shook again. Such obedience indicated that the guard genuinely listened to Yen Songshan. By the way, I haven't introduced them to you, fourth brother, yet. The youth in elegant clothing seemed to have seen through Yen Songhai's thoughts. These guard commanders are the elite of our Yen family, specially sent by Heavenly Elder to protect me. Several guard commanders, which implies that these guards are all innate realm experts. Yen Songhai looked at the seemingly unremarkable guards with disbelief. His heart felt absurd. In the few years he left the royal capital, what happened in the family? Even innate realm experts can be casually dispatched as guards for a prince, and several at once. And does Heavenly Elder favor Yen Songshan so much that he directly sent so many innate realm experts to protect him? At this moment, Yen Songhai finally understood why the seventh brother was so confident that he would be the next to ascend the throne. Being regarded so highly by Heavenly Elder, it's probably almost certain. At once, Yen Songhai's emotions became incredibly complex. The youth in elegant clothing saw Yen Songhai's expression and knew the deterrent effect he desired had been achieved, showing a smile. Turning his head to housekeeper Wei, he said faintly, Is this manager Wei? Go back and tell your family head that this prince is very unhappy this time. If he wants to earn this prince's forgiveness, let him bring enough sincerity to apologize to me. Otherwise, I guarantee that from now on your Wei family will have no place to stand in Yen country. Yes, seventh prince, I will inform the family head as soon as I return. Housekeeper Wei understood the wisdom of not suffering immediate losses and replied with great respect. By the way, I heard that your Wei family has a treasure that once drew even the Heavenly Blue sect from the northern border to compete for it. Go back and tell your family head, if he includes that treasure in the apology offering, I might forgive his rudeness this time and give him a chance to pledge loyalty to me. The young man in luxurious clothes continued. Housekeeper Wei finally understood upon hearing this. This seventh prince, from the beginning, had his sights set on their Wei family. The so-called invitation was actually just an excuse. Even if the family head really came this time, he would probably have other excuses to make the family head offer up the treasure. Understanding this, Housekeeper Wei's heart instead settled down, because he knew whose hands that treasure was in now. But he did not show it, remained respectful and said, "Yes, I understand." At this moment, Yen Songhai was also moved. He thought of the relationship between the Wei family and that person. Just as he was hesitating whether to remind the young man in luxurious clothes, a calm voice suddenly sounded. "No need to trouble the Wei family head. The treasure is already in my hands. Let's see if you dare to take it." "Who? Who's there?" The sudden voice shocked the young man in luxurious clothes and the others, especially the innate realm guards who were visibly shaken, because none of them sensed anyone approaching. But the next moment, something even more astonishing happened. A figure appeared in the room, and none of them saw how the person appeared. Immediately, those few innate realm guards stationed themselves in front of the young man in luxurious clothes, watching him with extreme vigilance. Young Master Lu. Only housekeeper Wei, upon seeing Lu Qing, was overjoyed and immediately called out, "Young Master Lu." Yen Songhai was equally shocked. He did not expect that just as he thought of this person, he would appear immediately. "Who might you be?" The young man in luxurious clothes was also surprised by Lu Qing's appearance. But when he saw that the visitor was just a boy seemingly a few years younger than himself, and with several innate realm guards surrounding him, he calmed down and inquired about Lu Qing's identity. "Who I am is not important, but aren't you interested in the Wei family's treasure? It's right here. Do you dare to take it?" Lu Qing extended his hand, revealing an ancient tripod the size of a thumb in his palm. "Is this the treasure?" The young man in luxurious clothes, though unclear why the Wei family's treasure was with Lu Qing, was immediately entranced upon seeing the small tripod. Although the ancient tripod in Lu Qing's palm was small, he sensed an incredibly peculiar aura emanating from it. As for those innate realm guards, it was even more unmistakable. The aura of law and meaning exuded by the spiritual artifact was so apparent to them. Immediately they realized, this small tripod was an exceptionally rare treasure. "Good, very good. Are you here to offer the treasure?" As for those innate realm guards, it was even more unmistakable. The aura of law and meaning exuded by the spiritual artifact was so apparent to them. Immediately they realized, this small tripod was an exceptionally rare treasure. "Good, very good. Are you here to offer the treasure?" As for those innate realm guards, it was even more unmistakable. The aura of law and meaning exuded by the spiritual artifact was so apparent to them. Immediately they realized, this small tripod was an exceptionally rare treasure. "Good, very good. Are you here to offer the treasure?" Chapter 651. Capture, Ceding Territory, Lu Qing's Conditions. Seeing the expression on Yen Songhai's face, the young man in luxurious clothing was first stunned. However, before he had the chance to think, he heard Lu Qing say, "What, don't you dare take it? Then please go inside for a bit." Immediately, he was horrified to see that the small tripod in the boy's hand suddenly expanded, growing larger and coming at them. Soon after, his vision went black, and he knew nothing more. After collecting the young man in luxurious clothing along with the guards, Lu Qing put away the leaving fire tripod and looked at Yen Songhai and housekeeper Wei. By this time, both Yen Songhai and housekeeper Wei were already dumbfounded. Never had they seen such immortal techniques. The small tripod could instantly transform into a giant object capable of swallowing people. This kind of scene was truly shocking and terrifying. It wasn't until Lu Qing looked over that Yen Songhai snapped back to reality. He quickly said, "Young Master Lu, that person is my seventh brother. I hope you will show mercy." Although Yen Songhai had little affection for this so-called seventh brother, should anything happen to him here, the family would hold him accountable, and he might find it difficult to explain. Moreover, those innate realm guards were evidently costly to nurture, and their unaccounted disappearance would be a significant loss to the family. "What? This seventh brother of yours set a trap to frame you, causing your demotion to this remote county, and you still plead for his sake?" Lu Qing said coolly. Upon hearing this, Yen Songhai realized the earlier conversation must have been overheard by Lu Qing. He smiled bitterly. "To be honest with you, young master, although I'm not fond of this seventh brother, blood is still thicker than water. I hope you can spare his life on my account. You hold no influence here with me." However, Lu Qing's words left Yen Songhai at a standstill. "The Li Weitian you mentioned earlier, I have some connections with him. Lord County Master, if you want your seventh brother to live, it's simple. No matter whether by pigeon delivery or horseback. In any case, I give your Yen family half a month to bring Li Weitian's descendants here. Also, from now on, that 10,000 Great Mountains territory will be mine, no longer under your Yen country's control. If you can satisfy me with these two matters, I might consider sparing your seventh brother's life." Having connections with Li Weitian. Hearing this, Yen Songhai was shocked. He immediately understood that Lu Qing was actually being merciful. Otherwise, based on what Yen Songshan said earlier, a different strong person might have killed him on the spot. However, upon hearing Lu Qing's second request, Yen Songhai's face showed difficulty. "Young Master Lu, wanting to bring over that senior Li Weitian's descendants here is feasible. But wanting that 10,000 Great Mountains territory, I'm afraid I won't be able to justify it to the family, and the royal family likely won't agree either. Though the 10,000 Great Mountains is remote and treacherous in terrain. The herbs and animal furs produced in those mountains are still of great use to Yen country. Lu Qing now wants to carve it out, and Yen Songhai knows without asking, the royal family surely won't agree. Lord County Master, I think you misunderstood something." Lu Qing said calmly, "I'm not asking for Yen country's consent. I'm informing you that territory of 10,000 Great Mountains is now mine. If your royal family has objections, then I might as well take a trip to the royal capital. However, at that point, whether Yen country still belongs to your Yen family is uncertain." Seeing Lu Qing's calm demeanor, Yen Songhai felt a jolt in his heart. He recalled Lin Jirui's evaluation of Lu Qing's nature. This seemingly gentle young man was actually heavily inclined towards killing. Recalling Lu Qing's divine and ghostly methods displayed just now, Yen Songhai felt a sudden chill in his heart. He had an intuition that if Lu Qing were to really go to the royal capital, there might be uncontrollable events. He immediately said, "Young Master Lu, please don't be angry. I will now immediately send a letter to the family, ensuring they swiftly bring Li Weitian's descendants to Zhang County. As for the 10,000 Great Mountains, that's simple too, since for us Yen country, it's of little consequence." Yen Songshan was unsure what the family's reaction would be, but he knew he must pacify Lu Qing now. Otherwise, if he did go to the royal capital, who knows what terrifying thing might happen. "All right, remember, I give you no more than half a month, Manager Wei. Let's go." Lu Qing nodded, turned, and left. "Yes." The Grand Steward responded respectfully, nodded to Yen Songhai, and followed behind Lu Qing. However, though his expression seemed calm, in his heart he was overjoyed. Earlier, the seventh prince, relying on his status and the innate realm guards behind him, had pressured and humiliated him. It would have been impossible for Housekeeper Wei to not feel humiliated. Yet the reality of the situation forced him to endure. Originally, he planned to return and consult with the family head for a solution. But unexpectedly, things turned so swiftly, and Lu Qing appeared here. Moreover, acted decisively, without giving the seventh prince a chance to say much, capturing and imprisoning him. Even those powerful innate realm individuals could not resist at all. This made Housekeeper Wei feel exhilarated inside. He also felt awe towards Lu Qing's divine methods, growing even more reverent internally. "Young Master Lu, would you like to rest at the mansion?" Chapter 652. After leaving the tavern, Housekeeper Wei respectfully asked. "No need. I'm planning to return to the village." Lu Qing refused. "Besides, there's nothing worthwhile at the Wei mansion. Wei Shanhai and Wei Xinghe, and even Wei Zihao, all currently reside at the villa near Jili village. In the county, only Housekeeper Wei and a few managers are handling matters. Manager Wei, regarding today's incident, I will inform Senior Wei after returning to the village, so you need not worry." "Yes." Housekeeper Wei responded respectfully. Also, take these 2 items. Lu Qing took out a piece of jade, and with a light stroke of his fingers, mysterious runes appeared out of nowhere, embedding into the jade talisman. In a breath, a jade talisman was formed by him. Lu Qing then took out a jade bottle, handing both over. I observe that you, Manager Wei, have now reached the state of inner organs perfection. Your divine soul power is about to attain the postnatal martial arts master realm. Inside this jade bottle are several elixirs, which, once consumed, should make your foundation more robust. Stepping into the innate realm, the time should be advanced. This jade talisman you should wear. If you encounter situations like today again, where someone attempts to overawe you with their presence, as long as their realm doesn't surpass mine, it should be ineffective against you. Young master, this. Housekeeper Wei looked at the items in Lu Qing's hand, somewhat hesitant. Take them. These are just trinkets, useless to me, no need to fret. Then I won't refuse, lest it be discourteous. Upon hearing this, Housekeeper Wei finally accepted the items. All right, I'm heading back to the village. I hope next time I see you, Manager Wei, you will have stepped into the innate realm. With that, Lu Qing rose into the air, turning into a stream of light, heading towards Jili village. Watching Lu Qing transform into a stream of light disappearing into the horizon, Housekeeper Wei was shocked yet tightly clutched the jade bottle and jade talisman. He knew his hope of entering the innate realm lay with them. Above the tavern, Yen Songhai witnessed the scene of Lu Qing transforming into a stream of light and flying away. He too was immensely shocked. It took him a long time to regain his senses. His face showed a firm expression. He knew he must convince his family to agree to Lu Qing's terms. Otherwise, the death of Yen Songshan would be trivial. If Lu Qing were angered, their entire Yen family might face annihilation. The county is not too far from Jili village. At a gallop, it's at most half a day's journey. With Lu Qing's light speed, naturally much faster, it only took a few tens of breaths before he returned to Jili village, landing and returning to his own home. In the half-mountain small courtyard, the elder doctor, who was cultivating, opened his eyes. Has Ah Qing come back again? But he simply woke for a moment, then closed his eyes, continuing his cultivation. With Lu Qing's current cultivation, no one in the world could threaten him. Therefore, the elder doctor decided not to intervene. Recently, with some resources given by Lu Qing, his cultivation was advancing rapidly. He estimated before long he would break through to foundation building great success. With more refinement, once perfect foundation establishment is achieved, reaching the Golden Core realm wouldn't be far. Previously, when those 2 Golden Core realm outsiders attacked, his lack of strength meant he could only watch as his disciple fought, deeply affecting the elder doctor. Thus, recently he has been diligently cultivating, wanting to strengthen himself. After all, although those 2 outsiders had been dealt with, they still had to confront the formidable foe of Suspended Mountain. Never would the elder doctor have thought that Lu Qing, during his brief outing, had already obliterated Suspended Mountain. Their greatest enemy had completely vanished. Back home, Lu Qing sat in the quiet room, his heart and spirit entering the leaving fire tripod. Young master. Yen immediately greeted him. How are those individuals? Lu Qing asked. They're quite frightened. Yen laughed. Especially that so-called 7th prince, he's nearly wetting his pants. With a wave of his hand, Lu Qing manifested the situation of those finely dressed youths. Inside a spatial confinement, the 7th prince of Yen country, along with his guards, anxiously surveyed their surroundings. Unfortunately, no matter how they probed, it was destined to be in vain. This kind of spatial prison sealing technique was beyond their comprehension. With their strength, how could they unravel its mysteries? What the hell is this place? After another fruitless search, the young man in fine clothes could no longer contain his fear, shouting, 7th prince, if I'm not mistaken, we are likely trapped inside that ancient tripod magical treasure by that youth, a guard said. I naturally know this, but what I want to know now is, how on earth can we leave this damned place? The young man in fine clothes continued to shout. That would be difficult. We've only heard our master mention magical treasures, but no little beyond that. However, since that youth can wield a magical treasure, his cultivation must be beyond our estimation. He's likely one of those legendary cultivation practitioners. Seventh Prince, we might have provoked a grand figure out of our reach. The guard explained. But I've never seen that person before. How could I have provoked him? The seventh prince felt very aggrieved. He was sure he had never crossed paths with Lu Qing. Chapter 653. And so, without any chance to explain, he was dragged into this godforsaken place. Having been pampered since childhood, when had he ever suffered such humiliation? In an instant, his heart was filled with both panic and unwillingness. Isn't this obvious? Previously, you plotted for the Wei family's treasure, and yet the person emerges claiming the treasure is in his possession. Doesn't this indicate where the problem lies? Looking at the seventh prince, too bewildered or perhaps simply not having come to his senses yet, the guards exchanged glances. Following the orders of their master, they had been protecting the seventh prince closely for quite some time. They had gained a fair understanding of his conduct and character. To be honest, they didn't quite understand why the master would choose to support this seventh prince's ascent to power. In their eyes, the seventh prince wasn't exactly a suitable candidate for a king's throne. Though clever, his talents were little more than small-minded tricks. Moreover, his personality was not commendable, selfish, lustful, and narrow-minded, lacking the qualities a king should possess. But despite their inner grumbles, the master's orders were absolute. They must protect the seventh prince's safety at all times. Thus, the guards began to offer words of comfort. Seventh prince, there's no need to panic. Since that young man has captured us, it seems he doesn't intend to harm us for the time being. Otherwise, with his skills, killing us would be an effortless task. The seventh prince fell silent. What unnerved him was this feeling. This sense of life and death being entirely under another's control, he despised immensely. Born into royalty, since his earliest memories, whatever he wished for, he obtained. He had always been the one to control others' fates. Never before had he suffered such humiliation at another's hands. So even knowing that the young man might be someone he shouldn't provoke, his heart still burned with a wicked fire, fueling his hatred continuously. Have you tried contacting the Heavenly Elder? If Heavenly Elder knew of our predicament, with his divine skills, he could surely rescue us. The young man in fine clothes asked. He knew that these guards in the innate realm had extremely mystical treasures, capable of contacting the Heavenly Elder, even from miles apart. We tried long ago. As soon as we were captured and brought here, we attempted to contact the Master. Unfortunately, this place is quite peculiar, seemingly isolating everything. The communication jade token we hold cannot reach the Master. One of the guards explained. Damn it! Upon hearing this, the young man in fine clothing grew even more agitated. He gazed into the surrounding void of darkness, a panic that he could not suppress, growing uncontrollably from deep within his heart. If things continued this way, he feared he might go mad. Outside, Lu Qing watched as the young man in fine clothes in the confinement of the spatial cage grew increasingly panic-stricken, shaking his head. He thought this fellow was some strong-willed, deeply scheming hero, but it turned out to be just a paper tiger. Such a small amount of pressure, and he couldn't withstand it. It seems his internal organ realm cultivation was merely fed through resources, his mindset far from reaching the realm's supposed standard. Seeing that the young man in fine clothes was losing his composure, Lu Qing waved his hand, releasing the spatial cage. Inside, just as the young man in fine clothes felt he couldn't hold on and his heart and spirit were about to collapse. Suddenly, he saw a burst of brilliance before him, and the endless void and darkness around him retreated. Two figures appeared before him. Chapter 654 Fear, Lin Zhirui's Truth. Seeing Lu Qing and a man with a pair of horns and an unusual appearance appear. Light shone in the eyes of the young man in luxurious clothes, which were already filled with despair. He, who was originally sprawled on the ground, suddenly stood up, wanting to rush out. But the next moment, he slammed into an invisible barrier, hitting his head so hard that he saw stars and staggered back. Seventh Prince. A few guards hurried to shield him and also watched Lu Qing and his companion with great vigilance. Lu Qing watched this scene without any expression and paid no attention to the guards' actions. He merely looked at the young man in luxurious clothes and said, "Where is that map you mentioned before?" The young man in luxurious clothes was stunned, but he quickly realized what Lu Qing was referring to. He thought rapidly and responded with a twinkle in his eyes. "So you want that map? It's not impossible to give it to you. As long as you let us go, I will immediately offer you the map with both hands." However, before the young man in luxurious clothes could finish speaking, he suddenly felt his right side lighten. He first glanced curiously to his right, and then a look of terror appeared on his face. At the same time, an unbearable pain attacked him, causing him to scream out loud. "Ah! My right arm!" His right arm, for some unknown reason, had mysteriously vanished. The guards also showed a look of shock and confusion. They had no clue how the seventh prince's arm was severed and disappeared. "You have no right to negotiate with me. If you don't hand over the map now, I don't mind twisting your head off right now." Lu Qing's voice resonated calmly. However, this calm voice sent chills down everyone's spine. They realized that the young man in front of them really meant what he said and would do as he promised. The young man in luxurious clothes was even more terrified in his heart and spirit, not daring to delay any longer. He bore the severe pain from his stump, frantically dug out an ancient skin scroll from his bosom. "Here is the map." Before he could finish speaking, the map in his hand disappeared and appeared in Lu Qing's hand. Seeing this, the chill in the young man in luxurious clothes intensified. Lu Qing's methods were so strange and terrifying that if such means were used to take his head, it would be all too easy. With the skin scroll in hand, Lu Qing rubbed it a bit and found out that it seemed to be made from the hide of some peculiar creature. Quite tough. No wonder it could be preserved for hundreds of years. He opened the skin scroll and discovered various patterns and strange symbols on it, which he couldn't understand. There was also a simple map drawn on it, and the terrain looked somewhat familiar to Lu Qing. A speculation arose in his mind, and he activated his superpower to look further into it. Soon, a faint red light emerged from the skin scroll, and several pieces of information floated out. Mysterious map. A map made from the hide of a mutant beast, the iron-eating bull. This map contains special characters that require a unique method of interpretation to unlock its mysteries. This map is a relic left by the innate realm expert Li Weitian. Inheritance discovered. Proceed with the download. After reading the few pieces of information, Lu Qing understood. This was indeed the map left by Li Weitian. He didn't have a way to interpret the map, but his superpower could explore the mysteries within. He chose to download the inheritance. Unexpectedly, the information left in the map was not much, and the download completed quickly. After choosing to read the information within, enlightenment appeared in Lu Qing's eyes. As expected, he didn't guess wrong. This map contained an innate realm cultivation technique left by Li Weitian and the location of a treasured place. The innate method was needless to say, it was already useless for the current Lu Qing. As for the treasure location, it was precisely where the Jade Cave was. It seemed that Li Weitian had contemplated that, should he fail to break through, he would end up in the Jade Cave. Even after death, someone from future generations could retrieve his remains and provide proper burial. However, Li Weitian hadn't predicted that once he disappeared, his family would suffer oppression from those innate realm powers he had offended. In the end, they were forced to scatter the clan and hide in the deep mountains and rural areas. After centuries of change, not only was the family fortune depleted, but even the method to interpret the map was lost. After reading the information on the skin scroll, a flame rose in Lu Qing's hand, burning it to nothingness. The young man in luxurious clothes and the others were all stunned by this scene. Especially the young man in luxurious clothes, who initially saw how much even someone like Lu Qing valued this map. He was still wondering what kind of treasure map he had accidentally obtained. He never imagined that Lu Qing would just glance at it and immediately burn the map. Could it be that the map he got was fake? For a moment, the young man in luxurious clothes felt extremely uneasy. If the map were truly fake, would this cold and ruthless young man turn his anger on him? "Sir, this map was obtained from a lowly family, and I don't know if it's real or fake. If there's any issue with the map, as long as you let me out, I will definitely punish that lowly family for you," the young man in luxurious clothes cautiously said. Lu Qing turned to look at him, and the next moment, the young man felt a pain on his left side. He looked in disbelief and found that his left arm had also disappeared. "No need to worry, the map is real." Amidst the young man's screams, Lu Qing said lightly, "However, the ancestor of that lowly family you mentioned, Senior Li Weitian, was kind to me, so do you think losing your arms is justified?" Chapter 655. The eyes of the youth in lavish clothing suddenly widened. Li Weitian had shown kindness to this person, yet he had captured Li Weitian's descendants. At this moment, the youth in lavish clothing felt an intense chill in his heart, his body turning cold. No longer caring about the pain in his arms, he cried out in fear, "My lord, I was unaware of your connection with Senior Li Weitian. Please spare me." After speaking, the youth in lavish clothing disregarded everything and immediately knelt down, kowtowing repeatedly to Lu Qing. In this moment, the so-called royal pride had been thrown far away. After having both arms broken, the youth in lavish clothing was utterly devastated. Now the only thought was to live. Nothing else mattered. "Rest assured, I have no immediate intention to take your life. However, whether you ultimately survive depends on whether your fourth brother can relay my conditions to your Yan family, and whether your Yan family will agree to my terms. If you fail to satisfy me, not just you, but even your Yan family, will have no reason to exist." With Lu Qing's words, his figure began to gradually dissipate. Seeing this, the youth in lavish clothing hastily shouted, "Senior!" Yet before he could finish, his vision was shrouded by endless void and darkness. He was already confined again in the spatial cage. "No!" Despair was evident in the youth's eyes, but no matter how much he shouted, there was no response. Even his voice could not be heard outside the spatial cage. A few guards watching the desperate youth also felt a sense of tragic empathy. Though they disliked this seventh prince, should he perish, they as guards would surely be punished. Moreover, even their own survival was uncertain. After all, the one from earlier had said that if the royal family failed to satisfy him, he would erase the entire royal family. Whether he could achieve this is another matter, but eliminating them would be effortless. With a sigh, a guard took out a medicine bottle from his pocket, stepped forward. "Seventh Prince, you are severely injured. Take care of your wounds first." "Young master, do you truly want that Yan country to cede the 10,000 great mountains to you?" In the spiritual artifact space, Yan asked Lu Qing. "Indeed, the 10,000 great mountains are abundant in spiritual energy and spirit grass. It's a good place." Lu Qing replied with a smile. "I say, why go to such trouble? With your current cultivation, just claim the 10,000 great mountains outright. Why bother seeking others' consent?" Yan couldn't quite understand. To it, given Lu Qing's current cultivation and realm, dominating the world and becoming its sovereign would be easy. Why bother obtaining mere 10,000 great mountains with Yan country's approval? "It's just an excuse." Lu Qing chuckled. Actually, it was a thought that struck him recently, so he casually mentioned it. As for his desire to claim the 10,000 great mountains, the main reason was the presence of the Jade Cave. He also wished to see Yan country's reaction. Of course, if the Yan family truly lacked tact, he wouldn't mind erasing them. Now, it's up to the Yan family to recognize the situation. "Ready the ink and brush." Elsewhere, back at the county lord mansion in the county, Yan Songhai immediately shouted. Yet, when the servant prepared the ink and brush, Seated at the desk, he delayed in writing. How can I make the clan realize the gravity of this matter? Yen Songhai thought with great difficulty. Having witnessed Lu Qing's display of various mysterious and uncanny divine skills, he understood the terrifying nature of the opponent. It had reached a level beyond understanding, unpredictable as ghosts and spirits. Opposing such a being would likely leave the Yen family severely wounded even if it survived. Thus, he must persuade the clan to accept Lu Qing's terms. However, he knew convincing the clan to step back would be difficult. After all, as the royal family leading Yen country for hundreds of years, he knew well the pride of the Yen family. The county's offer to easily hand over the 10,000 Great Mountains, such a vast territory, will likely face opposition from the family. It is inevitable that this might cause a violent reaction. After pondering for a long time, Yen Songhai found himself unable to draft anything. Sir, Lord Ji Rui requests an audience. Just as Yen Songhai was anxiously contemplating, a servant came in to report. What, Ji Rui is here? Quickly invite him in. Yen Songhai was immediately overjoyed and stood up to greet him at the door. When Lin Jirui came in and saw him, he was taken aback. Your brows carry an air of melancholy, condensed but unmoving. What's happened? Nothing escapes you indeed, Ji Rui. You must save me this time. Save Yen country too. Yen Songhai pleaded ceaselessly. What matter is so urgent? Lin Jirui's expression shifted. Could it be that the neighboring commandery is planning an attack? But he hadn't received any such news. It involves young Master Lu. Yen Songhai had just started to speak when Lin Jirui became extremely serious. He interrupted immediately. Did you say it involves young Master Lu? Indeed. Yen Songhai hesitated a moment. Continue. Yesterday, Yen Songshan, accompanied by several guards, came to me asking for help. Young Master Lu wants our Yen family to escort the descendants of Senior Li Weitian over. He also demands we cede the 10,000 Great Mountains. But Ji Rui, you know we have many stubborn clan elders. It's unlikely they'll easily agree to young Master Lu's terms. I'm currently troubled over how to report this to the royal capital. So Ji Rui, tell me, what should I do now? Yen Songhai recounted everything in detail to Lin Jirui. Lin Jirui's expression became more and more grave as he listened. Finally, he looked at Yen Songhai speechlessly. What else can you do? You have only one choice now. Use all your abilities to persuade your Yen family to agree to young Master Lu's conditions. If you don't, calamity will surely befall your Yen family. When Yen Songhai sought Lin Jirui's opinion, the latter replied without hesitation. Seeing his resolute tone, despite Yen Songhai already having this plan in mind, he couldn't help but ask, Ji Rui, is young Master Lu really that terrifying? Could it be he's also broken through to the realm above innate? In Yen Songhai's view, only someone who has broken through to the realm above innate could possess such divine skills. The ability to capture several living people in an instant. Don't question this. I know that one of your Yen family ancestors recently reached the realm above innate. But don't hold on to a false hope. Young Master Lu's power is beyond your imagination. Let me put it this way. Even your recently ascended ancestor, in young Master Lu's presence, could be extinguished with just a breath. Lin Jirui spoke with utmost seriousness. Extinguished with just a breath? Ji Rui, are you sure you're not speaking nonsense? Yen Songhai stared blankly at his friend. Do you think I'm joking? I'm speaking literally. With young Master Lu's current strength, he truly can extinguish your ancestor with just a breath. At Yen Songhai's incredulous expression, Lin Jirui replied somewhat helplessly. He knew, of course, how hard this was to believe, but he hadn't exaggerated in the slightest. The realm above innate is merely the foundation establishment realm. While considered a top-tier power in today's world, with few able to match it, but Lu Qing's realm is the Golden Core realm. Moreover, immensely powerful, even terrifying, easily able to kill extraterrestrial beings of the same Golden Core realm. Mere foundation establishment realm. In Lu Qing's presence, truly can be extinguished with a breath. If the Yen family really provoked Lu Qing, annihilation would be their sole outcome. Chapter 656 Secret Letter. Heavenly Elder's Terror. Under Lin Jirui's warning, Yen Songhai finally realized that the situation was more severe than he had imagined. He dared not delay any further and immediately wrote an urgent secret letter in the most solemn tone. Then he dispatched the fastest messenger hawk from the mansion to send out the letter. Yet even so, he still felt quite uneasy. He understood the pride of the royal family all too well, especially some of the elders in the clan. That arrogance had long been ingrained in their bones. Therefore, he really couldn't predict what reaction the royal family would have upon receiving the letter. Now his only hope was that his letter could make those elders see the situation clearly. The messenger hawk, specially bred for delivering letters, was extremely fast, and under Yen Songhai's anxiety, it took only 1 day to reach the royal capital. It then landed in a palace. A clerk responsible for receiving letters saw the urgent seal exclusive to the royal family on the envelope. He dared not slack off and immediately took the letter to the palace. Soon, the letter appeared before an elder dressed in a dragon-pattern yellow robe. The highest-level urgent secret letter from the royal family? The yellow-robed elder saw the seal on the secret letter and showed a hint of surprise. There were not many people in the entire royal family with such a seal. Besides the various clan elders, only the princes and princes were known to have it. Has something urgent happened? The yellow-robed elder opened the letter and was momentarily stunned upon seeing the salutation at the beginning. Is it written by that unfilial child? But as he continued to read, his face gradually showed anger. By the end, he was even more furious, and with a thud, he struck the desk in front of him with a palm. Outrageous, truly audacious. A powerful aura burst from his body, collapsing everything around him. This yellow-robed elder was also a martial arts expert. The commotion in the study immediately drew the attention of the guards outside, and numerous secretive figures appeared around the study. No problem, stand down. After a while, the yellow-robed elder retracted his aura and waved his hand, dismissing everyone. He picked up the letter again, read it once more, and his expression turned uncertain. Although the matter mentioned in the letter made him angry, if it were true, the situation would be severe. Given his understanding of that unfilial child, though he had a somewhat unruly nature, he would never joke about such matters. After pondering for a while, the yellow-robed elder suppressed his anger and folded the letter, sealing it. Someone, prepare a carriage. An hour later, the yellow-robed elder's carriage arrived in front of a large mansion outside the royal capital. Having changed into a yellow plain robe, the elder got off the carriage. He approached the entrance and courteously said to the elderly gatekeeper dozing on a lounger, "Uncle Fu, long time no see." The gatekeeper, also an old man, appeared much older than the yellow-robed elder. His face was wrinkled like old tree bark, and his hair was sparse. The old man, recognizing him after a moment, smiled, showing a few sparse teeth. "It's Little Song. You haven't come to see me in ages." The yellow-robed elder wore a face of apology. "State affairs keep me busy. Yen Song really couldn't spare time. I hope Uncle Fu forgives me." "Oh, is that so? I've almost forgotten you're a king now. In my mind, you're still that little kid running around bare-bottomed. And now you've grown so old." The old man suddenly realized. The yellow-robed elder was speechless for a moment. He had ascended the throne decades ago, yet every time he visited, the old man still repeated the same lines. But he dared not have any objections. This old man had watched him grow up, and if he dared show a hint of disrespect, those clan elders would surely admonish him. Despite being the king of Yen country, in the eyes of those elders, he always remained a member of the Yen family. Should he defy the clan rules, even as a king, he would be punished. This was why, after reading the letter, he chose to come here directly instead of holding a family meeting. With those elders' temperaments, they were practically useless except for causing trouble. Patiently, he listened to the old man's rambling recount of past events. Only then did the yellow-robed elder respectfully say, "Uncle Fu, is the heavenly elder at home? Little Song has matters to discuss with him." "You're looking for the master, huh? Just in luck. He emerged a couple of days ago. I'll report to him for you." After his rambling, the old man was in a good mood and immediately went into the mansion. Despite his advanced age, he moved with surprising speed. The yellow-robed elder stood respectfully with his hands lowered, waiting. He knew, with heavenly elder's abilities, he must have already sensed his arrival. Yet he dared not show the slightest impatience, awaiting a summons. After a while, the old man came out of the mansion. "All right, Little Song, the master let you in." "Thank you, Uncle Fu." After paying a respectful salute, the yellow-robed elder stepped into the mansion. As for the guards behind him, they hadn't spoken a word from start to finish, standing solemnly in place waiting. Upon entering the mansion, the yellow-robed elder felt a cool sensation seep into his heart. Immediately, he felt lighter, his mind becoming much clearer. His entire body seemed much more relaxed and invigorated. He showed a look of surprise on his face. He had visited this mansion numerous times. Previously, he had sensed some extraordinary qualities, but never had he felt as he did today. By merely absorbing the coolness within, his body felt as if it had become a few years younger. Chapter 657. Gomein. Just as the yellow-robed elder was in astonishment, a gentle voice echoed from inside. He couldn't help but follow the voice inward. Finally, in a serene courtyard, he saw a figure. Upon clearly seeing the appearance of the figure, the yellow-robed elder's eyes widened involuntarily. "Heavenly Elder, it is I." The figure slightly nodded, face calm. Yet this made the shock on the yellow-robed elder's face even more pronounced, because he saw that the visage of the heavenly elder had become significantly younger. Last time he visited, the heavenly elder still looked older than himself. But now the complexion was smooth and rosy, the posture upright. He appeared entirely like a middle-aged man. If not for the voice being as old as before, yet the face was still quite similar. The yellow-robed elder could hardly believe that the person before him was indeed the heavenly elder. "No need to be alarmed. It's just that I've had a breakthrough in my cultivation recently, and my appearance has changed slightly as a result." The heavenly elder smiled faintly upon seeing the shocked expression of the yellow-robed elder. The yellow-robed elder regained his senses and quickly said, "Congratulations to the heavenly elder for piercing through barriers and stepping into the unfathomable supreme realm of cultivation." Simultaneously, he felt a surge of excitement within. The breakthrough of the heavenly elder was something he naturally knew of not long ago. It's just that after the breakthrough, the heavenly elder had been in seclusion and hadn't appeared before the clan members. Thus, he only learned today that the breakthrough of the heavenly elder even had the effect of reversing aging. "I've merely stepped into the foundation establishment realm. It's far from being called unfathomable. The path of cultivation is high and profound, and we are all but at the starting point." Faced with the flattery of the yellow-robed elder, the heavenly elder waved his hand. If it were him in the past, he might have basked in it. But ever since gaining the art of Qi refinement on the sacred mountain, successfully transforming all his innate true Qi into spiritual power, and relying on the accumulation of over 200 years of foundation, successfully stepping into the foundation establishment realm, it was only then that the heavenly elder realized the vastness of the cultivation path. In the past, he was nothing more than a frog at the bottom of a well. Of course, these truths, the heavenly elder would not voice not come forth. Although the yellow-robed elder also possessed cultivation and had reached postnatal perfection. Yet being old and frail, it was impossible for him to step into the innate realm. Even if told to him, these truths would be useless. "By the way, Little Song, there's a sense of worry about you. What brings you here this time?" The heavenly elder shifted the topic and spoke of another matter. "It's like this, heavenly elder. I've indeed come this time with something very urgent for which I seek your judgment. This matter is of great importance. If handled improperly, It could very well affect the fate of our Yen country. Upon hearing this, the yellow-robed elder hurriedly said. However, at this moment, compared to the worry he had upon coming, he felt greatly reassured. Before coming, although he knew of the heavenly elder's breakthrough, he did not know that the breakthrough was this miraculous. To directly rejuvenate a body nearing its end. Feeling the now unfathomable aura exuding from the heavenly elder, the yellow-robed elder felt greatly comforted. With such a stabilizing force, why would their Yen country ever worry about being as stable as a mountain? Oh, what matter is so severe? The heavenly elder asked somewhat unexpectedly. It's like this, not long ago, I received an urgent sealed letter from my unfilial son, Songhai. The yellow-robed elder recounted the matter and respectfully handed the sealed letter to the heavenly elder. Such a matter? Upon listening to the yellow-robed elder's words, the heavenly elder couldn't help but be stunned. He took the sealed letter, opened it, and began to read. Very quickly, his face turned extremely grave, especially after seeing Yen Songhai's description in the letter of the divine abilities shown by that person. His body trembled greatly. Able to use a magical treasure to capture people, transform into a stream of light, and ascend directly to azure darkness? Heavenly Elder stared intently at the words in the letter, his eyes showing an incredulous expression. The yellow-robed elder, however, didn't notice Heavenly Elder's expression and instead spoke with some excitement. Heavenly Elder, that person's abilities seem quite extraordinary. I was worried at first, facing such a formidable enemy. How should we cope? But now that you're here, perhaps we can directly capture this reckless one and rescue Cheer. However, before he could finish his sentence, Heavenly Elder interrupted directly. Agree to it! The yellow-robed elder was momentarily stopped short. Then his eyes widened. Heavenly Elder, are you saying? I'm saying agree to the conditions mentioned by the person in the letter. Heavenly Elder continued to stare at the words in the secret letter. No matter if it's sending Li Weiyan's descendants over or seeding the 10,000 Great Mountains, agree to it all. No, I must personally escort Li Weiyan's descendants over there. Heavenly Elder, you want to personally escort Li Weiyan's descendants? This time, the yellow-robed elder was truly shocked and exclaimed directly. Indeed, we must show our sincerity to that person. Otherwise, not only is Yen country in grave danger, but even our Yen family might be completely exterminated because of this. The yellow-robed elder was stunned on the spot, looking at Heavenly Elder with an extremely serious expression, even hinting a trace of panic. He finally reacted, realizing that the matters mentioned by that rebellious child in the letter seemed much more serious than he had imagined. After a good while, the yellow-robed elder barely recovered his senses. He cautiously inquired, Heavenly Elder, is the person mentioned in the letter really that terrifying? Even you are not his match? More than terrifying, it's simply not someone to provoke. Heavenly Elder showed a bitter smile. If what Songhai mentioned in the letter is true, that person's cultivation and divine skills have reached an unfathomable realm. If he wished, he might just wave his hand and destroy the entire royal capital. My cultivation, in front of him, might be extinguished with a mere breath. Hiss! Upon hearing this, the yellow-robed elder directly drew in a cold breath. He finally understood why in the letter, that rebellious child had repeatedly emphasized for the clan not to attempt confrontation with that person. Otherwise, the entire royal family might fall into an irreversible plight. Originally, he thought that child was deliberately exaggerating, aiming to seize the opportunity for credit in the future. Now it seems what was said was not exaggerated at all. However, after the shock, the yellow-robed elder still felt a sense of absurdity. He couldn't help but continue to ask, Heavenly Elder, is there really someone so powerful in this world? Even the few Saint Masters of the Central State's Sacred Mountain do not possess the divine skills to destroy a city with a wave of hand, do they? You don't understand. The world has already changed now. Heavenly Elder shook his head and said, Heaven and earth rules evolve, Spiritual energy recovery. The immortal Tao reappears in the human world. If someone breaks through to that unfathomable realm, mastering immortal spells and divine skills, destroying cities and countries for them would just be a thought away. Heavenly Elder once again focused his gaze on the secret letter in his hand, transforming into a stream of light, ascending to azure darkness. Though he had now stepped into the Foundation Establishment realm, he still did not possess the ability to fly. According to the immortal information he had mastered, in the Foundation Establishment stage, to achieve flight, aside from learning the windriding spell, only refining and controlling the legendary flying artifact would make it possible. Yet the person mentioned in the letter, directly transforming his physical body into a stream of light, ascending to azure darkness. Such divine skills have completely exceeded his imagination. That person's realm is likely beyond the scope of the Foundation Establishment stage, reaching another more unfathomable level. Such an existence, how could it be someone that their small Yen country could provoke? With this thought, Heavenly Elder immediately said to the yellow-robed elder, "You now immediately return and release Li Weiyan's descendants. Comfort them well. After I make some preparations, I will personally escort them to Tsang State." Chapter 658. Secret Realm closes, visitors arrive. 5 elements. Come catch me. By the river, little Yen laughed gleefully, her feet tapping rapidly, creating afterimages as she circled around a few old trees. Behind her, the 5-colored winged snake, 5 elements, had shrunk its body to the size of an arm, chasing at a similarly fast pace. For a moment, the area around the old trees was filled with the images of little Yen and 5 elements, making it dizzying to watch. If any martial arts expert were here to see this scene, they would probably be dumbfounded. Such a sophisticated movement technique appearing on a little girl was simply unbelievable. Compared to the liveliness over there, Lu Qing's side was much quieter. He sat by the river, a fishing rod in front of him, leisurely fishing. Little Li sat upright beside him, watching the float intently. Seeing this, Lu Qing couldn't help but smile. "Little Li, with your current cultivation, catching a fish should be easy. Why stay with me to fish?" Hearing this, little Li glanced at the shimmering river surface. A look of obvious disdain appeared in its eyes. "Water? Hate it." Lu Qing chuckled more, shaking his head. Little Li was now a spiritual beast at the Foundation Establishment stage, and recently it had also refined the spirit fruit Lu Qing gave it some time ago. Currently, its cultivation had reached foundation building great success, not far from perfect foundation establishment. Thus, cultivating as a spiritual beast was actually quite simple. Oftentimes, just eating and drinking would increase its power. However, even though it was at foundation building great success, with divine skills as a powerful spiritual beast, little Li still refused to go into the river to catch fish. The little one's aversion to water was deep-seated. So whenever Lu Qing went fishing, little Li was the happiest, because it could enjoy the freshest fish. Besides, Lu Qing had been busy cultivating recently, and even had little time for fishing. This time out, little Li naturally wanted to stay close, unwilling to move even a step. As they spoke, Lu Qing felt the float budge slightly, then suddenly dip down. The next moment, he lifted the rod, pulling a beautiful fish into the air in a graceful arc. With Lu Qing's current power control, catching an ordinary spirit fish naturally, he no longer needed tactics like the fish rod technique. With a fish hooked, he could just lift the rod directly. Moreover, the fishing rod he was using now was no ordinary one. He had recently discovered in the bamboo forest behind the mountain that some bamboos had started to transform under the nourishment of spiritual energy, gaining some spiritual charm, showing signs of turning into spiritual objects. He selected the best one to make a new fishing rod, and he refined several layers of restriction into it. Now, the rod in his hand was not just a simple fishing rod. It could be rightfully called a magic artifact, and its grade was rather high, reaching the level of a top-grade magic artifact. The pulling strength of a top-grade magic artifact-level fishing rod was naturally extraordinary. If fully activated, not just small spirit fish, even a small mountain could be effortlessly moved. Of course, Fishing for pleasure, Lu Qing came out to fish to relax, so he naturally wouldn't do anything so unbecoming. He didn't even use his divine soul power to explore what kinds of fish were in the river. Whatever he caught was all up to fate. Thus, seeing the red carp struggling on the hook, he was a bit surprised. Ah, it's a red moon carp. He hadn't caught one of these in quite a while. Taking the red moon carp off the hook and weighing it in his hands, Lu Qing tossed it to little Li, who was already eyeing it. Before the spirit fish even hit the ground, little Li leaped up and caught it securely, then started devouring it on the spot. With each bite, it squinted its eyes in satisfaction and happiness. Though it also ate cooked food, it most enjoyed fresh spirit fish. Seeing it eat so happily, Lu Qing smiled, baited the hook again, and continued fishing. This time, the hook hadn't been in the water for long before another fish started nibbling at the bait. With a deft lift of the rod, Lu Qing had caught another red moon carp. In the time that followed, Lu Qing pulled up one fish after another. After an hour, he had caught 7 or 8 spirit fish in succession. Apart from the frequently seen red moon carp, there were golden loach and another type of spirit fish he hadn't seen before. With another red moon carp caught, Lu Qing paused, showing a thoughtful expression. He gazed at the river surface, releasing his divine soul power. Instantly, the conditions of the river were reflected in his heart and spirit. He then sensed that within a 10-mile stretch of the river, spiritual charm auras dotted about. There were indeed quite a few spirit fish in the river. It seems as spiritual energy continues to intensify, the changes in all things are finally starting to manifest. Lu Qing contemplated the presence of the spirit fish swimming in the river, gaining some insight. The changes in the heaven and earth rules and the recovery of spiritual energy brought changes across the world. The poisonous insects and snakes in the 10,000 Great Mountains became more venomous and ferocious. But similarly, spirit fish in this small river originating from the 10,000 Great Mountains also increased in number. Looks like little Li won't have to worry about a lack of spirit fish in the future. Lu Qing smiled and started packing up his fishing rod. He had caught enough spirit fish for the day. Not only would little Li be well fed, but they also had enough for dinner. Little Yen, 5 elements, stop playing. It's time to go back. With the fish basket in hand, Lu Qing called out. As for little Li, it was already perched on his shoulder, licking its paws and face. Chapter 659. After eating 3 red moon carp in a row, it was truly content. Brother, did you catch any fish? Little Yen came running over, her face flushed red. Although she had reached the innate realm early stage, continuously using innate level movement techniques consumed quite a bit of spiritual power. As for the 5-colored winged snake, it followed behind her. It looked a bit enviously at little Li standing on Lu Qing's shoulder. It also wanted to be that close to its master. But it knew little Li was quite domineering. If it dared to get too close, it would definitely get beaten. Getting beaten up wasn't so bad, since its skin was thick and tough, and little Li couldn't hurt it. But it knew if it really ended up fighting with little Li, the master would surely side with that raccoon. This was the lesson learned from several painful experiences by the 5-colored winged snake over this period. Of course I caught some. Lu Qing didn't pay attention to the little movements of the 5-colored winged snake and showed the bucket of fish to little Yen. So many spirit fish, there's red moon carp, and even golden loach. Seeing the fish in the bucket, little Yan's eyes widened immediately. It's rare to catch so many spirit fish. Tonight, let's make fish soup, shall we? Lu Qing said with a smile. Yes. Little Yen nodded enthusiastically. Fish soup made from red moon carp was extremely delicious. Just thinking about it made her mouth water. The siblings and the 2 spiritual beasts happily walked back to the village. As soon as they got home, Uncle Zhang from next door came over. Ah, Qing, just got back from fishing? Yes, caught quite a lot of spirit fish. Planning to make fish tonight. Grandpa Zhang, you should come over too, Lu Qing said with a smile. Haha. My old eyes are too dim to pick out fish bones. You all eat? Uncle Zhang laughed. Don't worry, Grandpa Zhang. Little Yen can help you pick out the bones clean. Little Yen immediately said. Little Yen is so good. Uncle Zhang patted the little girl's head. Then he seemed to hesitate. Lu Qing noticed it and asked, Grandpa Zhang, is there anything troubling you? Seeing Lu Qing had noticed it, Uncle Zhang hesitated for a moment, then decided to speak freely. Ah Qing, it's just that yesterday, some of the village elders gathered together and discussed something. They have a request for you. What request? Lu Qing asked. Some of the young lads in the village, after witnessing your divine prowess before, wanted to learn some skills from you. Would that be possible? Lu Qing was taken aback, not expecting Uncle Zhang to bring up this topic. For a moment he pondered. Seeing this, Uncle Zhang quickly added, Ah Qing, I know you are now among the immortals, but as the stories go, immortal techniques cannot be easily passed on. If it's inconvenient for you, don't worry, I'll explain to them. Grandpa Zhang misunderstood. Lu Qing came back to his senses and said with a smile, It's not a matter of convenience. The path of cultivation is not just about intention. It requires insight and talent. Otherwise, even if there's a true method, without the right talent, one cannot enter the path of cultivation. Lu Qing didn't resent the villagers' thoughts but rather understood them. After all, who wouldn't aspire to the means of immortals? If it were him, seeing someone use an immortal technique, he would surely develop a heart for cultivation. However, cultivation is not merely about having the desire. Talent, insight, perseverance, and determination, all are necessary. Lacking any one would make significant achievements in cultivation impossible, perhaps even prevent entry. As far as cultivation goes, based on his understanding of the village's youth, none seemed to have remarkable potential at the moment. I see. Grandpa Zhang seemed disappointed. He could hear from Lu Qing's words that the village's young people seemed to lack potential for cultivating immortal techniques. Seeing the disappointment on the elder's face, Lu Qing thought for a moment and said, But nothing is absolute. Any matter could have a hint of opportunity within it. How about this, Grandpa Zhang? Discuss with everyone and see who wishes to cultivate. Tomorrow, have them gather at my place. I will give them a chance. Really? Uncle Zhang's face showed delight. Of course. Lu Qing nodded. All right. I'll go back and tell them right now. Watching Uncle Zhang's hurried departure, Lu Qing showed a slight smile on his face. As a member of the village, he naturally hoped that Jili village would become better and better. If the village could produce 1 or 2 people with cultivation talent, it would also be a good thing for the village. Now that spiritual energy has fully revived, the next tens of thousands of years will be an era dominated by the immortal Tao. Jili village wants to preserve its legacy in such a grand trend. It cannot always rely solely on his protection. After all, he didn't know whether he would always stay in this world. If Jili village could have its own cultivators, in case one day he had to leave this world, there would be someone to continue protecting the village and ensure its continuity. Thinking of this, Lu Qing already had a plan in mind. While he was pondering, suddenly, a wave of fluctuation came from the depths of the 10,000 great mountains, and then gradually dissipated. Lu Qing paused for a moment, then transformed into a stream of light and flew into the mountains. Soon, he arrived at the front of the valley where the secret realm's entrance was located. He saw that the black vortex leading to the secret realm was gradually shrinking. Is this entrance to the 5 elements secret realm finally going to close? Lu Qing looked at the gradually shrinking black vortex and did nothing. The opening and closing of the secret realm is a normal phenomenon of this world. Unless, like the 4 great secret places, he was willing to completely integrate a spiritual artifact into the secret realm, it would be impossible to stop the secret realm from closing. However, the few spiritual artifacts he had now were of great use to him. He naturally couldn't integrate them into the secret realm. After all, the greatest opportunity in the 5 elements secret realm had already been taken by him. Most of the other spirit grasses and spiritual objects had also been mostly searched by the martial arts experts who entered later. Those experts who came later were also slain by the white-robed youth, and the spiritual objects they obtained were confiscated and eventually fell into Lu Qing's hands. It could be said that the current value of this five elements secret realm had greatly diminished, not worth wasting a spiritual artifact. Seeing the black vortex finally completely disappear, the valley returned to complete tranquility. The pervasive space fluctuations vanished completely. Lu Qing felt a bit of sentiment inside. This five elements secret realm brought him an enormous opportunity. Without the five elements spiritual liquid obtained from the secret realm, he wouldn't have been able to cultivate to the golden core realm so quickly. Moreover, without such a solid foundation, he might have missed the opportunity to achieve a perfect golden core. Additionally, he also harvested a supreme spiritual medicine and a spiritual beast with incredible potential. It could be said that this five elements secret realm was his greatest blessed land, without exaggeration. Just don't know when, after closing this time, it would reappear in the world again. After a moment of reflection, Lu Qing, with a faint smile, glanced at the depths of the valley, then transformed into a stream of light once more and left the place. As his figure completely disappeared, only then did a few people timidly emerge from a dark corner in the valley. Their eyes were filled with the look of a narrow escape. Who is this young man, with such a terrifying aura, and can even fly in the air? No matter who he is, he's someone we absolutely cannot provoke. Originally, we thought that since the 10,000 Great Mountains had been quiet recently, we might take the opportunity to enter this secret realm and find one or two spirit grasses. Unexpectedly, as soon as we came here, this secret realm closed, and we encountered such a terrifying existence. Truly unlucky. No, we should say it's fortunate we came a step late. Had we come earlier, we might have been trapped to death in the secret realm. Stop talking, let's leave quickly. I have a feeling that person actually already discovered us. If he returns, we wouldn't even know how we died. With this last sentence, the others immediately shivered and dared not talk any longer. They hurriedly left the valley, fleeing in another direction. Lu Qing naturally noticed those people hiding in the valley. But now, he no longer paid attention to a few innate realm individuals. Since they didn't provoke him, he naturally didn't bother to deal with them. Flying back to the village all the way, just as he landed at home, suddenly someone came to visit. And this time it was Lin Jirue who came. Moreover, he brought two others with him. Chapter 660, Understanding Cause and Effect, Seeking the Heart of the Tao. Jirue. Is this where young Master Lu retreats for cultivation? Outside Jili village, Yen Songhai gazed at the ethereal presence before him, utterly stunned. He had no idea that his jurisdiction harbored such an immortal blessed land. As for the heavenly elder beside him, he was even more overwhelmed. He could faintly sense that this small mountain village was guarded by a powerful array. As to how powerful that array was, being in the Foundation establishment realm, he couldn't discern it at all. Realizing this, the heavenly elder felt a deep sense of relief. Luckily, he had come personally this time. Just from the phenomena in the village and the array that he couldn't even grasp half of, he knew the person cultivating here was unfathomably deep. If their Yen country truly offended this person severely, they might not even know how they were destroyed. Indeed, please wait here for a moment. I will go in to pay respects to young Master Lu. Jili village is protected by an array. Outsiders cannot enter at will. Lin Jirue instructed. Thank you, Jirue, Yen Songhai said. The heavenly elder also promptly replied, Thank you, Mr. Jirue. Lin Jirue was about to enter the village when a voice came from inside. No need to trouble yourself. Speak of your matters here. As the words fell, the mist before them dispersed, and Lu Qing's figure emerged from within. Little Li perched on his shoulder, while the five elements winged snake followed closely behind. Young Master Lu. Seeing Lu Qing, Lin Jirue immediately stepped forward. He wasn't surprised that Lu Qing knew of their arrival. With his abilities, escaping his awareness within tens of miles was almost impossible. What surprised him was that Lu Qing had directly come out of the village. Thank you, Brother Jirue, for bringing them over. Lu Qing nodded and looked towards Yen Songhai and the heavenly elder. Young Master Lu? The Heavenly Elder, hearing Lin Jirui's title, immediately understood that this young man was the person they came to meet. He intended to step forward to pay respects, but when Lu Qing's gaze fell upon him, his entire body suddenly felt heavy. It was as if a giant mountain was pressing down on him, making breathing difficult, his body unbearably heavy, and speech nearly impossible. What terrified him even more was that Lu Qing's gaze seemed to be able to perceive everything. He felt as though all his secrets were laid bare under Lu Qing's gaze, completely seen through. Foundation Establishment Realm? Not bad nowadays, being able to completely transform true qi into spiritual power and break through barriers to enter the Foundation Establishment Realm. Your cultivation talent is not bad indeed. Lu Qing withdrew his gaze and spoke calmly. The Heavenly Elder instantly felt his body lighten, and without wiping the cold sweat off his forehead, he hurriedly said, "Your praise is far too flattering. These humble skills of mine are akin to the light of a firefly before you, totally insignificant." Heavenly Elder. Beside him, Yen Songhai was stunned by the Heavenly Elder's humble attitude. Honestly, before today, when he saw Heavenly Elder personally escorting the descendants of Li Weitian to Tsang County, he was greatly surprised. The Heavenly Elder's status in the clan was incredibly esteemed, even higher than that of his father. This time, he personally came to escort Li Weitian's clan members over. This made Yen Songhai realize that the clan must have truly listened to him, remarkably valuing this matter. Yet, he never expected that upon meeting Lu Qing, the Heavenly Elder would be so humble. However, the Heavenly Elder felt that his attitude was completely appropriate. In the path of cultivation, strength is revered. Just from Lu Qing's single glance, he felt that the cultivation realm of this individual was immeasurable, far beyond his comprehension. He even vaguely sensed that the two mutant beasts accompanying Lu Qing were also extremely formidable, capable of posing a lethal threat. All right, there's no need for pretentiousness here. Lu Qing was indifferent to the Heavenly Elder's humility and spoke calmly. Did your Yen family complete the task I assigned you? Everything has been carried out as per your will. Completely settled. The Heavenly Elder hastily said, I've safely escorted all descendants of the elder Li Weitian over. As for your desire for the 10,000 Great Mountains, there is absolutely no issue. It's our honor. Even if you desire the entire Yen country, we would willingly offer it with both hands. I have no interest in your Yen country's land. Lu Qing smiled slightly. I only wish for these 10,000 Great Mountains to be a place for my secluded cultivation, without being managed by others. Understood, of course. In the future, none of our Yen country members will step even half a foot into the 10,000 Great Mountains without your permission. The Heavenly Elder immediately pledged. Since that's settled, I'll return the people to you. With a wave of Lu Qing's hand, several figures appeared out of thin air, falling to the ground. It was the elegantly dressed young man and his few innate realm guards. However, at this moment they were all in poor condition. Even having been released, they remained bewildered, without any response. Especially the elegantly dressed young man, his gaze vacant, seemingly soulless. Seventh brother. Yen Songhai cried out upon seeing the elegantly dressed young man's arms missing. This shout seemed to gradually bring the young man and his companions to their senses. They looked at Yen Songhai, then around them, and slowly a glimmer of clarity returned to their eyes. Fourth brother, Heavenly Elder? Have we really been released? The young man muttered. His eyes filled with disbelief, fearing that what he saw was merely a dream.